across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you. It is Petrie here with you through until 1 o'clock, as usual. And coming up at midnight, there is a conversation I want to have with you about home care, about getting care cover at home. Because I've been looking at, there's a report that's come out saying a cash-strapped council is going to be charging people £1,800 a year for admin to administer care costs. So in other words, if you need a carer and you have to pay privately, you can either go about that on yourself or you can go to a council appointed care provider, right, that they've been vetted and approved by the council. And they then, you then between you sort out the carer, and then you pay the council, and then the council pays the care company. And they're now saying that that'll cost £1,800 a year to administer. And the breakdown of the cost is absolutely ludicrous in my view. It's absolutely criminal. But it got me thinking about the cost of having care at home, and I was hoping that you'd be able to help me out with that. I was hoping that you'd be able to help me out with telling me your stories about the costs that are collected by you to pay for your old age or your ill health. Because this is extraordinary to me. I didn't realise these numbers. Anyone with more than £23,250 in savings. Now that is not a lot for a lifetime of savings. So anybody with more than that has to pay for everything, have to pay for all the care, everything. They take into account all your money, but they don't take into account your value of your property unless you go into a care home, right? But it gets worse than that, because there are other figures involved here. Hang on, where is it? Here it is. Between £14,250 and £23,250, you qualify for financial support from the council and pay a contribution from your income, such as pensions, plus a tariff income based on your capital. So with £14,000, you're still paying considerably towards your cost. Less than £14,000, the council provides financial support, and you still contribute, by the way, from your income, but you don't have to pay the tariff income. So there's an extraordinary amount of cost that I think people don't realise, and this is why the stay-at-home carers are worth billions to us. The family members that do it, the people who do it, they are blooming heroes. They save this country so much money. So I want to hear from you if you're a stay-at-home carer, and talk me through some of these eye-watering costs that go along with having somebody pop in and I don't know, bathe your loved one or feed, whatever it is. Talk me through these numbers, because they are absolutely extraordinary to me. So, but also added to that is now this £1,800 a year from one council, and when one council does it, the others will follow suit. So that's what I'm going to be talking about at midnight, and I need your help with that. I need your experiences of that to help me through. So the number you're going to need is 0344 499 1000, and you can message me as well if you text the word talk and then your message to 87222. With me between 11 and 12, or with us I should say, is the marvellous Ed Wiseman. I don't know whether it's with moustache or without moustache, so we will find out when he gets here. Johnny Hearn will be here, our filmmaker, broadcaster and film reporter. He's going to be talking us through a couple of movies that he's seen. He's very good, actually. I do trust him with what he says, him and Van. And then, Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward will be here, broadcaster and host of the Here She Is show on YouTube. And we're talking to him about his weight loss journey. because he's been taking, I think, Wegovy or Ozempic. I can't remember which one. He'll remind me. And I just thought, because everybody's talking about it at the moment, he's near his 12-week weigh-in, just how he's getting on with that. If you were thinking of taking it yourself, it's good to hear somebody else talk about it. So that's what's coming up this evening and into the morning. But before that, this is something that really not only fascinates me, but concerns me deeply, and that is what is going on around the world at the moment, and particularly, I have to say, the United States of America, where an awful lot of private citizens are very concerned about what's coming up for them, what's coming down the pipes for them with this administration. They're concerned about losing Medicare. They're concerned about losing Medicaid. They're concerned about losing Social Security. They're concerned about all these cuts. They're concerned about the judicial arm. The American system is three bodies that are equally powerful. So you've got the executive, which is the president, you've got the judiciary, which explains itself, and then you've got Congress. Well, Congress has already fallen, it would seem, in the three pillars. The judiciary, Donald Trump is now trying to impeach any judge that doesn't agree with him. So what happens when that branch falls? Because if he just ignores the court orders, what happens? Nobody knows, because it's not really ever happened before. So if that branch falls, you've only got the executive left, and that is a dictatorship by any other description. So a lot of Americans are trying to get together to resist. And we see this in Turkey as well, that resistance. They're standing up against Erdogan in Turkey, as we discussed yesterday. They're standing up against, they're going out of their houses in hordes. But what happens in the United States of America? And when does resistance turn to revolution? And is that even possible in modern America? Well, joining me to discuss this is Tad Sturmer, who's a lecturer at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore and author of a forthcoming book, A Resistance History of the United States. And I'm absolutely delighted to be speaking to you, Tad. I've been watching you for a while, and I've always enjoyed what you've had to say. Look, I want to start with that question about when resistance could become revolution, where the tipping point could be.
It's a great question, Petrie, and I really appreciate being here. This is important stuff to talk about. When you get to that tipping point, that's when ordinary people realize that resistance is a practical necessity. I mean, resistance starts with a core group of people who believe that it's a moral choice. But that has to evolve to the point where ordinary people realize that refusal to obey were acts to check executive power, that in fact is a practical necessity. That's when you get that tipping point where enough people push against authority that it turns into regime changing revolution. That turns it from Prague 1968 to something much more sustainable. And so where the United States is right now with that is somewhere between Massachusetts in 1775 and the beginning of the American Revolutionary War, and France in 1940. In terms of when do ordinary people acknowledge, when do they recognize that the institutions that they have trusted, that they have been conditioned through the myth of American exceptionalism to believe will hold, as you pointed out so clearly about Congress and about the judiciary, that Americans have been conditioned to believe that these institutions will in fact save them. That the Constitution is self-correcting. When will they recognize that those institutions are no longer there for them? And that's where ordinary people then turn to revolution. They have to step outside of those institutions and they have to, in a sense, solve the problem themselves. But the trick is, does it happen in enough time where it's Massachusetts of 1775 and people can in fact then take control and push against power and push against that authority? Or is it France of 1940 in which they're looking at it in the rearview mirror and there's not enough time to go ahead and correct?
And this is quite a sort of a divisive and dangerous place to be, isn't it? Where a lot of people are saying, How can't you see this? Why can't you see what I can see? Why don't you understand what I understand to be what's happening, particularly in, I mean, I will say Turkey as well, Turkey and in the United States at the moment, where you quite clearly have autocracy on the rise and you quite clearly are losing democracy. I think it's so evident that I'm frustrated that people can't see it. And yet there are still people who blindly refuse to see it. Now, are they refusing to see it through fear of what they might have to do next?
That's a great question. And we keep asking ourselves that because part of it is in this, again, that Americans are conditioned to believe that everything will be okay. Because as you pointed out, that there have been very few times in American history where an executive has even gone near what this one is doing in terms of ignoring the judiciary, of actually running rampant over Congress. That it's happened only a couple of times. And to be able to do this on a daily basis, these, what Steve Bannon referred to, the days of thunder kind of blitzkrieg effect of continuing to hammer on all fronts and erode all of these institutions, that it's, people are in a bit of a state of shock in terms of where they can look and what they can do. And I think that in the end, they're not used to having any kind of resistance tradition. I mean, as there is in Europe, with all those lessons of World War II, all those lessons of response to the Soviet Union, there isn't that here. There is this conditioning about people who have this deep belief that the institutions will hold, and this failure to accept, not to recognize, but even just to accept that they can fail, and that you then have to start thinking about alternatives. It's not a part of the American mindset. Well, let's actually walk that back. That's not a part of the mindset of white Americans. These institutions have always been there for white Americans, but for Black Americans and for Americans of color, they're already there. These institutions haven't ever really worked for them. But now for white Americans, and whether that's white Americans on the left or on the right, because this is now outside of any kind of partisan politics. This is about the rule of law and whether you care about democracy, that they are just not conditioned to accept that these institutions have fallen. Even the language that they're using, whether it's on social media or whether it is in other platforms, the language that they continue to use is all conditional. That could we be headed to a constitutional crisis? I mean, could we be headed to authoritarianism, instead of looking at, in fact, what is already going on around them, which suggests that this is not an if, this is a has happened.
Did you ever imagine, Tad, that you would see this in your lifetime?
No. And this is where I think where most Americans are, that understanding that the idea of our Constitution, that because of the flaws that the framers almost built into it, that it only works, it's almost a religious document. It only works if you have faith in it, if there are people of good faith who are willing to abide by norms, abide by these rules. I mean, as you pointed out with the executive, there is nothing in the Constitution that points out the clear authority of the Supreme Court. There's nothing in the Constitution that requires the executive to abide by the Supreme Court, and there is no mechanism in the Constitution that provides any kind of recourse if the executive ignores the courts. There's none, zero, zilch. But for most Americans, they believe that there is a sense of virtue, a sense of faith that will somehow kick in because these folks will have a belief that the system will work. But I think that it is that surprise with how quickly this has happened, which is why, again, it seems more like 1940 than maybe 1775, that because of how quick this has happened, that Americans have not been able to adjust their vision, their spirit to the on the ground realities that are hitting them. It's not the same country that it was even 2 months ago. There is no normal to return to now, because even if everything tomorrow were to magically go back to the way it was, if some other group was in charge tomorrow, there would still need to be substantial, significant changes to the American system of government, instead of what I think a lot of people are still stuck in, which is a strategy of hope. And hope, as Hannah Arendt pointed out, is no strategy at all.
It's again really fascinating to me, because as somebody who is British and with my European color, it's kind of ingrained in our fascism. Although we weren't around to see it at my age, it's ingrained in our DNA. We're kind of very aware of it. Very, it's visceral to us, right? It really is, and I think that's where the confusion comes for me, and why it's not being spotted in the numbers that we would spot it here. Mind you, there's plenty of people here who think Donald Trump's doing a great job. Let me tell you that for a start.
I think that point about there not being any kind of public memory of actually what authoritarianism really is, and more to the point, what the stakes are, what it can do, and to see how that has been baked into, in fascinating ways, the growth of democracy and democratic institutions across Europe, from Estonia to Ireland. That being able, the requirement to control extremes within a governmental system, so that can never happen again, because the stakes are just too high. That is not a part of the American experience. That we have had resistance moments, but we've not had resistance movements, not sustained ones. Not unless you're really focusing on the resistance to slavery, and that develops into the civil rights movement and over generations. But there is no real understanding of what happens when something could go too far, of everything that could be lost. That has never been the experience of Americans, that it could not in fact happen here. Those water walls that America has had have also proven to be ideological. Yeah. And historical as much as they've been practical.
I want to take you back to a comment, and it actually links nicely there with what you were saying about slavery and the resistance that took hundreds of years to change that, and the civil rights movement. As you rightly say, the Black Americans have had to fight all the way, still fighting. And what I find really interesting at the moment is that there are a lot of messages going out to the Black community saying, they're trying to bait you. They're talking about segregation again to bait you. They're talking about, releasing the cop that killed George Floyd to bait you. Don't be baited. Don't go out on the streets. Don't revolt, because that's what they want. And it will just encourage Trump to enact martial law. Many people think that is his end game. That's what he's attempting to do, so that he can suspend the Constitution. Where do you stand on that?
Well, Black Americans have been ignored at the peril of every other American in terms of their voice in all of this. It's extraordinary the kind of wisdom that Black Americans have brought to this debate, and how tired they are because of how familiar they are with everything going on around them. That we have to keep in mind that America, and you know this very well, that America has only been a multiracial democracy, an effective, functional multiracial democracy, since the 1960s. It's been barely 60 years.
Shocking.
So that is relatively new. And the folks who are now in charge are a kind of counter-reformation to that, rolling back all of this, and with this idea that, again, Mark Bloch and Hannah Arendt and folks who have provided us with historical lessons about this point out that the kind of power that's represented by Trump and Musk and this regime only expands, that it will not stop until it is pushed back. And therefore, all of the mechanisms that could be used to push them back, such as congressional elections in 2026, which a lot of people who are still just focused in faith on their institutions are looking at, that any excuse to go ahead and invoke, as you pointed out, emergency powers to suspend the parts of the Constitution, there is considerable fear about that, and that they're looking for and hoping for moments of violence that will justify that kind of crackdown and that kind of response. And I think that is absolutely possible. And the problem is that most Americans are not clear enough about how possible that really is, how immediate and present that moment really is,
and how easy.
And for them to tell, Black Americans that, though, and how easy it is, but for them to tell Black Americans about this, for a whole bunch of white people to tell Black Americans not to. When it's Black Americans that have been out there on the forefront defining what resistance means for hundreds of years. But even when we look at BLM, when we look at the response to George Floyd, we look at actually what happens when you turn protest into opposition, into resistance. This is a spectrum, and then resistance into revolution. That it's Black Americans who have understood how to put together these resistance organizations, have put together underground movements in order to push these things forward. And I think that folks are trying to debate them, but I think that for the most part, America's Black community is too aware and too historically aware. I mean, we're talking about public memory, too historically aware of actually what the repercussions of all this to happen to kind of take that bait. But it doesn't mean that there aren't other people who will, that we won't reach that point. And given this administration, what we thought could never happen is happening every hour. And so it wouldn't be a surprise for that to happen tomorrow morning, or for that to happen tonight. Even today, as one of the examples you pointed out about this administration looking at the judiciary and threatening judges who have opposed them with impeachment, that the Speaker of the House of Representatives just a couple of hours ago said that they would look to defund entire federal district courts that oppose the will of this president. That is just running. They're just going to take apart part of the federal judiciary to do that. Shocking. How can we be shocked by that?
Yeah, I'm not shocked about anything anymore. I wake up every morning and kind of look at my phone in horror. I just want to know from you, just quickly, because we're running out of time. Is it already too late? Are we in 1940s looking in the rearview mirror here? Or is there something that could happen that could change the trajectory of this?
I think there's something that can happen that can change the trajectory, but it has to happen quickly. History is great at providing warnings. It is terrible at providing second chances. And I think that it is right there. It is at that moment about whether Americans are going to be Massachusetts in 1775 or France in 1940. And will ordinary Americans, again, on the right or left, this is not about partisan politics anymore, will they recognize really what is at stake, what is going on, and that any kind of practical resistance is an absolute necessity? Will that happen? That's the question. And I think that we're looking every day at that possibility, but I think that the window is closing quickly.
Tad, I want to thank you so much. Will you come back and talk to me again?
Oh, absolutely. This has been a real pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
A terrible subject, by the way, but a wonderful conversation.
A fascinating conversation, as I knew it would be. Tad Sturmer, thank you so much. Lecturer at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore and author of the forthcoming A Resistance History of the United States. Quick break, back in a sec.
across the UK on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side.
Hello there, good evening to you. It is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. And coming up at midnight, which of course is your chance to talk back. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got to talk about care packages and getting care at home and the cost of that. And this is why these home carers, these people, the family members, you are blooming heroes. You really are. I can never say it strongly enough. Those people who give up their time and their love and their patience to look after a loved one at home, you are amazing. You are amazing, and you're saving this country billions of pounds. But aside from that, you are blooming heroes. And I just want to know, how is this home care affordable? I'm sorry, how is it affordable? How do you pay for somebody to come in, maybe give you a little bit of, a day off or a couple of hours a week? I mean, you're looking at costs here that will make your teeth curl. It's absolutely extraordinary. And if you've got any money, and I mean any money in your bank account, they're going to get you for it. They are just going to get you for it. And of course, if you want to go into a care home, you've got to sell your house and go. I mean, it's just wrong. It's all kinds of wrong. But it is very expensive. Why is it so expensive? If you are a carer and working for a private company, give me a call as well, because I want to know how much money you get out of this, because I'm pretty sure that the carer that goes in isn't making the sort of money that the company makes or even the council makes from hiring them out to you. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's just wrong. It just feels to me like it's wrong. But listen, I don't really have experience of this. My brother has carers, but he's got no money, so that is state funded, right? I just want to hear from you. I want your experiences. I need to understand this better. Maybe I'm being a little bit dramatic, but it just makes me so angry. I think of people who've saved all of their lives, every single day. They've worked all of their lives. They've paid into their pensions. They've been good citizens. They've done nothing wrong. They've cost this country nothing. They've put in everything. And then if they've got 23 grand in their bank accounts, they get fleeced for it. It just feels wrong. So I want to hear from you. 0344 499 1000.
Across the UK on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you. It is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock, and then there's the phone in at 12, of course. And before that, John Hearn will be here to talk us through some movies that he's been forced to watch, and also Ed Wisen will be here to take us through the papers. But right now, we have Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward, a broadcaster and host of Here She Is show on YouTube. Timmy, you're looking great. You look like you've lost weight.
It's good, isn't it?
It's good. What is that?
That is my by Frozen.
Is that your girl's world?
That's Bionic Woman. The
Is
Bionic
it?
Woman. Yeah.
I thought it looked like a girl's world. Right, so you're looking fine. Look, tell me about your journey so far. You're coming up to your 12. I can't believe it's 12 weeks.
It is 12 weeks. And I've got my weigh in this week. Is my picture frozen, by the way?
I don't know. They're trying to sort it out. It has, yeah. So that's why everybody would prefer to look at me anyway. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah,
I thought you said you were going
there
to
you
the
are. You're back.
When I last spoke to you.
What?
You were going to the hairdressers the last time I spoke to you.
Yeah, I didn't get there, obviously.
Was it shut?
I didn't make an appointment. I was supposed to go last week, but I didn't go. But thanks for pointing that out. It's really kind of you.
Yeah, so it's been, what has it been, 12 weeks now. So I have, I think, ups and downs, actually, if I'm totally honest. I've come out the other side, but any of the side effects have been what it said it would be, and that's been 4 days at tops that you'd have those. And of those, that is diarrhea and being sick. It was the second month that I had the diarrhea, and then this time I had the sickness because I'm on Wegovy. I know you were asking earlier.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm up to 1 milligram. So it's
and you started on 0.25, so you've gone up to half, and then to the 1.
Look, this is what happens when you lose the weight. I'm going to get that Leslie to sort that out for me. Leslie from Harley Street.
Yeah, she can sort mine out while she's at it.
Yeah, let's do it together. We'll do it. We can do a spin-off, can't we?
Should we do it do we get buy one get one free?
Yeah, bog off.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
just bog off.
Right. So,
so I'm saying the sickness and the diarrhea, and this is quite graphic. It's when I say diarrhea, it's not just diarrhea. It's like, we're going to clear you out. When I say sick, it's not like a hangover. It's not like I've eaten something. It's, again, this food and everything you've eaten, and you feel really bloated and it's all a bit bubbly. That is all coming out. There's not going to be anything left in you. That's what I'm saying about that's the effect of it. It's we're clearing you out. That my little people, the Wegovy people in me, are doing their job. But like I say, that was 2 to 4 days, and you really feel drained. You know that with diarrhea and sickness. So you've got that draining. My sister is on it, and I don't know if I've outed her.
you probably have, to be fair.
But she is diabetic. And so she's taking diabetic tablets and that. But we had the same conversation of you get in these bad places where you're being sick and you're doing the diarrhea, whatever, and you're thinking to yourself, is this worth it? Because you do feel awful. And I've heard people say, oh, we're on that, so I've spent most of the time on the toilet. How do these celebrities go out? They must have to time it really well, because accidents can happen.
Yeah, I presume they take it probably at the beginning of the week, and then by the end of the week maybe those symptoms aren't there. But when you do ask yourself the question, is it worth it? What has persuaded you? Because a lot of people listening to this would be saying, oh, I'm definitely not going to do that. I can't bear it. You know, I don't want to waste 4 days feeling sick or having diarrhea. That's, you know, particularly if that's every time you go up a dose. What does make it worth it? I mean, the weight loss, presumably, but is
Yeah.
it?
It is the fact that I have not felt I'm on a diet. That what's happened, and I'm not saying just do it for this reason, but when I've spoken to people, the thing that people cannot believe is, and it's the food noise, and it just totally goes. I can be through to 3 o'clock and not have eaten anything. Now, before I was taking this, for people that haven't followed the journey, I lost 2 stone for my niece's wedding, which took me about six months. The month after, I put it all back on. But in that 6 months, your social life just goes a little bit like you, but you're not doing it. But I had a social life like you, Petrie. Didn't want to see anybody just sat at home, sad old couch
I don't like
potato.
people very much, so yeah.
But because I didn't want to go out and ruin it because you go, if I go there, I'm going to drink or I'm going to go and eat, so and you're craving food. You just wanted food, and it's really hard. Taking this has been a walk in the park. I would say from January to now, if I had to accumulate them all, I would have a week of feeling bad, which isn't bad
That's
3
not
months.
bad. And like you
Dr.
said,
Khan, who I'm doing it with, sorry, the Harley Street Skin Clinic, hasn't had any. He's been fine. So there
that's
you go.
amazing. Well, it definitely does depend, doesn't it? Because like with any drug, some people have symptoms, some people won't, some people it'll be worse, some people it won't be. But you know, when you talk about the food noise, a lot of people who don't have that don't understand. It's not possible to understand that a lot of people, the food noise is a real thing, and you are a snacker. You're a gutsy pig, actually. I mean, I know you very well.
Quite frankly, yeah.
Frankly,
Well,
it's a rarity that I would phone you and you not be eating. To be fair,
I went for that in the lockdown, didn't I? Back with the pandemic.
just like
Every
a whole
time you
cake with a
phoned me-
spoon. Yeah,
Every time you phoned me, I had something in my mouth.
yeah.
And occasionally it was food. But yeah, and you've heard Oprah Winfrey say this. You've heard everybody say this, that they did not realize that some people don't have that food sound. And actually, I don't know what it was. It was a comedian talking about this, because my sister just sends everything from TikTok and all of that to me, anything with a Zempic on. And this girl was saying, it's all the thin people that are going, oh, but what about all those poor diabetics that aren't getting the medicine? And it's like they've never in their lifetime
Cared.
thought about a diabetic person and getting their medicine. But suddenly now, because these big girls are getting down to their size, because these thin girls haven't had to work on their personalities. These big girls are going to be thin with a wonderful
I
personality.
know. I mean,
Thin
it's
girls
just
are
not
getting
fair.
worried, aren't they?
Double threat. Listen, just before I let you go, is that
Oh, no, I'm here for the night. Did they not tell
didn't
you?
I tell you? Is that a portrait of Rolf Harris behind you?
You can't say that. But these two, oh, you've said that for a reason. That's naughty, Petrie. I'm not, it's because what have you done?
I'm just saying it looks like it from this distance.
Those two, you painted. Petrie Hosken, you're in such trouble. You've been cancelled. That is what Petrie Hosken's painted of me. Is it that one?
No,
me.
the other one.
And my fella.
Oh.
Didn't you?
I did.
And I've tried to eBay them. Nobody wants them.
Nobody
so I
wants them because
put
it's
them up.
pictures of you. That's
No,
why.
it's because it's a picture of Rolf Harris.
Yeah. I've always said you really have got your dead ringer for him. But
You're
yeah.
Rosemary West.
Yeah. Thank you. But no, I just wanted, because they're always there, and I think if people are looking, they might be going, what are those pictures? So, yeah. Timmy, thank you.
See, don't you?
What?
You plug in your paintings.
Yeah, but you never paid me for them, so.
I did. Nature's card.
Listen, I will speak to you very, very soon, much sooner than I'd like to, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Indeed. Mwah. Timmy Alexis. Oh, happy birthday, by the way. Or has he gone?
Oh, I know.
Happy
I'm still
birthday
here.
on
Yeah,
Thursday.
I am going to be 56 on Thursday.
Stone.
Everybody send me, everybody send me your love Thursday. Thank you, very glad.
All right, just saying, early one.
Thank you for remembering.
All right, darling. I'll speak to you soon. Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward, broadcaster and host of the Here She Is show on YouTube, which is actually really very funny. I've got to take a quick break. Back with John Hearn in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on...
Hi there, this is Talk, and it's Petrie here with you. We've had a message. I don't know if Timmy's still watching. He probably is, but says, "Hi Petrie, I've just tuned in. How much has Timmy lost? He looks so much more slender since I last saw him." And that's from Rachel. He's lost a stone, and he's not that much slender. I mean, you haven't seen him in the bath, and unfortunately I have, because that's when he chooses to FaceTime me. So, yeah. But, yeah, his face is thinner, but the rest of him. Anyway, we're going to be talking movies now. Joining me is Johnny Hearn, filmmaker, broadcaster and talk film reporter. Johnny, how are you doing? Oh, he's dropped. Why are we having such a bad old time? Shall I do this Oasis competition? Time now to find out how you could be in with a chance of winning Oasis tickets at Wembley this summer. Here's Mike Graham with the details.
How do you fancy winning tickets to the hottest gig of the century? Here at Talk, we're giving you the chance to bag yourself a pair of tickets to Oasis at Wembley this summer. Plus, we're giving away a whopping 10 grand and putting you up for the weekend in a London hotel. All you need to do is text the word prize to 83338 and you're in the draw. Alternatively, you can enter by post. Once again, all you need to do is text the word prize to 83338 or you can enter by post. Good luck.
18 plus UK excluding Northern Ireland. Enter by text for £2 plus one standard network charge by 11 p.m. on the 7th of April 2025. Or post your name and number to Oasis Competition, PO Box 3190. Colchester CO2 8GP to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of April 2025. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
This is a News Broadcasting Network promotion.
There you go. There's your chance to win tickets that you can no longer buy. Right, I think we've got John back. Johnny Hearn, filmmaker. Hello.
Sorry about that. Just as you were about to come to me, everything just went blank
Of
and
course,
disappeared.
of course. Its timing is always of the essence in live broadcasting. Right, talk to me about these movies. So we've got, first of all, is Alto Nights, as in Knights.
Yes. So this is a new film by Barry Levinson, the director, starring Robert De Niro, and also stars Robert De Niro. He plays two characters. So it's a true story about gangsters in New York And so the story's about two friends who grew up together in New York, Italian Americans grew up together, and they fell into organized crime. One, Vito Genovese, was kind of very sort of hardcore into the gangland side of it. His friend Frank Costello was more kind of altruistic and not quite so bad. He was more benevolent than malevolent. So Vito gets sent to Italy because he has to sort of disappear for a little bit. When he comes back, Frank has established himself as kind of like the kingpin mafia boss in New York, but Vito wants a slice of that and comes back, but he really wants to be kind of a vicious drug dealing kind of gangster, which Frank is not really that interested in doing. He's got quite a good public profile. And so the two of them have this spectacular falling out, which leads to Vito attempting to assassinate his former best friend, Frank. And if this all sounds a bit bizarre and a bit over the top, it's not, because this is actually a true story.
Oh, wow. I mean, I can't get enough of Robert De Niro. He's everywhere at the moment. I mean, he's really got a bit of a renaissance going on, hasn't he? Let's have a look at the clip, a look or a listen to the trailer.
Let's remember something.
What did you think of it?
Yeah, I really liked it. I mean, Robert De Niro is great in both roles. It's really well made. It's a fascinating story, particularly as it develops. And Frank Costello gets his revenge, not only on Vito Genovese, his former best friend, but also the entire sort of mafia network across the whole of America. All of that I really liked. I just don't get the reason why Robert De Niro is playing two parts. He's really good in both, but there's no reason for me why he should play two characters. They're not twins. It's not like Tom Hardy in Legend, for example. It doesn't make sense. He has to wear a lot of prosthetics to play Vito, so that he doesn't look exactly the same as he does when he plays Frank. I don't get that side of it. I think it would have been a better film had he not played two characters, but he is very good in both, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. If it doesn't make sense, then it's just like, why have they bothered to do it? I'm watching him in 0 Day at the moment, which is on Netflix, which is actually really good. He's just brilliant in it. Let's talk about Flow, which is It's 1 hour 25 and it's in cinemas now. Oh, by the way, Alto Nights is a 15. It's 2 hours, 3 minutes, and it's in cinemas as well. So talk to me about Flow.
Well, Flow is the film that won the Oscar for Best Animated Film this year. It's the first time in that category that an independent film has won it. Normally, it's won by one of the major studios, usually Disney, Pixar, Illumination. One of the big studios will win that prize. This is the first time that a truly independent film has done it, and this has been made by a tiny little studio in Latvia. And it's a very, very simple story. So the story is, it's about a cat that's just known as Cat. It's a black cat, and lives in this sort of it seems like a sort of a world. It's not actually our world. It's sort of a world where there are no humans, but there are relics of human existence, so abandoned cities, things like that. And one day there's a huge flood, and he gets washed away and seeks refuge on a small wooden boat alongside a capybara, a lemur, a golden retriever dog, and a secretary bird. What a great combination of animals, none of which, of course, all live in the same place. So this is why it's sort of like it isn't really in this world, but it is, sort of thing. And the story is just about how this disparate band of animals sort of come together and bond, and they learn how to pilot this boat and navigate it through the new waterways and in around these cities and places, and just the sort of things that happen to them. But there's really no story to this at all. And what's fascinating about this, there are also no actors in this movie, because there's no dialogue. There are kind of what passes for conversations between the animals, but it's the animals making the noises that animals make when they communicate. Right. So the dog barks, the cat meows, the lemur makes whatever noise the lemur makes. And all of the sound recordings were actually made of those animals. So the sound recorders went out and recorded cats, recorded the dog, they recorded these animals. Apart from the capybara that didn't quite sound right, so they recorded a baby camel instead. But there are no actors in this. It's all genuine sounds from these creatures. But it's just so incredibly simple. And it sounds like, oh, God, that must be really boring. But it's not. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a stunning film. It's really engaging. You really love this poor little cat, especially when it gets, falls in the water and it's in peril. You really feel for it. And the other animals are very funny. The dog particularly is very funny. And it's just a really charming, beautiful film. That it's just, I don't know, it's just something magical about it.
Deserving of the Oscar.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's. I'd heard a lot about this film, and I've sort of put off watching it for a long time, and I sat down and watched it last night, and I was thought, okay, it's going to be all right. It'll be, I was just captivated from the first moment. Some of the animation, by the way, is so good that there were moments I was looking at it thinking, I don't think that's animation. I think they actually went out and filmed something there, particularly the landscapes. The creatures look like they've been sort of hastily animated, and it's sort of like the first pass of an animation, and they're going to go back and do all the detail later. The landscapes are completely opposite, especially the water. It just looks so good. I'd say there were times when I thought they'd filmed something and then maybe animated a bit over the top of it or something like that.
Is it for children or is it for adults?
Oh, it's for both. I mean,
okay.
Children will love it because you'll love the little cat. You'll love the creatures, and they're funny and they're cute. But adults as well, because it's just really engaging. It's so beautiful to look at, and it's so simple to follow.
Let's turn to Y2K. I mean, I thought we were over this. That was 1999 into the year 2000 when we were told that everything was going to collapse, right? Planes would fall from the sky. Nothing happened, right? So tell me about why they've bothered to turn this into a film.
Well, I suppose it's the 25th anniversary, wasn't it? Turn of the year was the 25th anniversary of the Y2K. So this is a film that's set on New Year's Eve 1999 into the year 2000. The concept, yes, that we all believed that every computer was going to implode and the whole world was going to collapse and we were all going to die on that evening at midnight. So the premise is that it starts off with Bill Clinton giving his speech on the White House lawn, saying, we've sorted everything out. It's all going to be fine. There are going to be no problems. Don't worry. And then the story centers around a high school party where a bunch of kids have gone to celebrate the turn of the new year. And of course, as soon as it gets to the stroke of midnight, weird things start happening where all the electronic devices in the house and they are connected to the internet and start sort of taking on personalities and characteristics. And then eventually, of course, it's a horror movie. They end up starting to kill people and chop people up in all sorts of bizarre ways.
Why did they make it?
Well, I don't know. Why does anybody make any movie?
Well, I suppose so. Look, let's have a look or a listen to the trailer of Y2K. It's in cinemas. They'd stretched it out to a massive 1 hour and 31 because there's nothing to say. Let's have a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are releasing our final report on the Y2K computer problem.
Everyone's here.
We will experience no major national breakdown.
Someone's on the net.
You've got mail. Breakdown.
Ooh, combining or something. Oh, snap. Think they'll still do graduation?
It just seems really strange to me, John, to make a film about the biggest anticlimax in history and then have to invent stuff because it was nothing.
Because nothing happened, yeah. And also the things that they invent, it kind of, I know this might sound weird, it doesn't make sense. You could have, if they'd sort of progressed the story a little bit better, so that one thing led to another a little bit more in a better way, then it kind of would have made sense that, oh, this is what could have happened.
Yes.
But it's done in such a haphazard way that you just think, that vacuum cleaner's not going to turn into a vicious homicidal maniac robot.
Well, my dog thinks the vacuum cleaner is a vicious homicidal maniac, to be fair. But yeah, if they'd done something intelligent with it to say this is what it might have looked like, that would have been fascinating. But
yeah, it's a good idea. I just think it's a real hit and miss. Interestingly, it does star Rachel Ziegler, who's currently in cinemas, also at the moment playing Snow White, in a very different role, obviously, in this movie.
Neither of them, I think, are going to be box office winners. So
no, I haven't seen Snow White yet, purely because I want to, but I don't want to go to the cinema by myself. As a guy in his 50s, surrounded by a bunch of kids watching movies with their families, I just think it'd be a little bit weird. So I'm going to wait until it comes on Disney Plus and then I'll watch it.
Can't you just get a hat with, you know, film critic on it or something? I just think that might be...
Go in disguise.
Go in disguise. No, listen, I mean, I've heard that Snow White is absolutely beautiful to look at, even if you don't like the story. It's a Disney film after all. But box office, and I suspect this one will be exactly the same. John, fantastic to see you. Thank you so much for that. So Alto Nights, Flow, and why, I'm just going to call it why, 2K. What's the point of that? Right, so just to let you know, coming up, we have the phone in at midnight, as ever, and I need your help. I need you to tell me about paying for carers to come to your home. We've got quite a bit of detail to go through on that. And before that, and just at the top of the hour, Ed Wiseman will be here, and he's going to be going through Wednesday's newspapers. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, it is fabulous to have your company as we traipse through the papers, and by we, I mean me and Ed Wiseman, transport and travel journalist.
Hello, Petrie.
Hello there, Ed. Just looking at the facial hair. Is that a beard implant? I was in the papers the other day that men are now getting implanted beards.
That's wild to me. Is that true? Is this one of these Turkish treatments?
No, this is a new treatment.
But why? Because you already have a beard. Bald men don't lose their beard.
Well, I don't know. Maybe some people can't grow a beard.
What, just from birth?
Yeah, I can't grow a beard.
You can't
I tried,
grow a beard.
obviously.
Would you be interested in getting a beard implant?
I might.
Also, beard implant suggests it's been taken from somebody else who's thought, I hate buying razors every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to donate my beard to...
I'm just wondering if that's what you're doing. Are you going to just donate?
Do you think I should? Do you think I should sort of cast around and just have like a beard transplant?
Yeah, I'm a little bit suspicious of the bit of a moustache coming back.
Yeah, you think it's going to happen again. You've seen this play out before.
I've seen this play out before, where you've grown that, and then you shave the rest off, and then you've got.
That's what a moustache is. When you think about it, it's just.
Yeah, but a lot of people just grow the moustache bit, whereas you go for the full face first.
Yeah.
and then you shock everybody by shaving off the rest of it.
Well, like I say, every man in the world does that in the privacy of his own bathroom. Anybody who's getting rid of a bath will go through the moustache phase. I just do it for longer.
You just do it for longer.
I just then leave the house, whereas most people just
don't
keep it to their private shame, maybe take a photograph for the group chat and then shave it all off dutifully. But I actually...
You go for it.
I do.
Yeah.
I think
you don't mind public humiliation at all?
No, not at all. And also, every fashion trend starts with that. Every fashion trend starts with somebody being like, you know what, I'm going to break the mould here and I'm going to go outdoors
That's
looking like
so
this.
Sweet.
Well, think about the first person who wore a top hat. Ridiculous. Or a cravat.
Well, you see yourself as a...
Oh, very much so. Very much at the bleeding edge.
Yeah.
But obviously I have to keep trying because sometimes I do just get rebuffed by society who, people aren't ready yet.
No, but I mean, your fans here. I think,
absolutely.
They love you.
It's gathering pace, I think.
One at a time.
One at a time.
Literally.
It is ones. We're talking ones and twos here.
We are talking ones and twos, but that's more than you had before you came into the studio.
Precisely. That's exactly it. So it's gains. It's definitely gains.
It's all net gains.
And representing mustachioed men's everywhere. I mean, I think it's fine. I think I'm
You're
optimistic
very brave.
about this.
You're very,
Thank
very
you.
brave.
That's not one of the adjectives I've heard the most about the moustaches. But then, maybe that's how these things start.
Well, I mean, there's always an implant if you can't grow it properly.
Yeah. But then, I don't know. The whole thing is a little bit odd. What do you fly out to Turkey and then
No, I
browse
think you can get that done here.
On the NHS?
Yeah. Well, no, not on the NHS.
I don't know. Go to your GP and say, you know what, I've been trying to grow a beard for 6 years.
I can't grow one.
I can't grow one. Please,
and it's affecting my mental health.
Or maybe if I die, I can donate my organs, including my beard, to somebody else.
I mean, who wouldn't want that?
To someone on the transplant list.
Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, exactly. Who wouldn't, frankly? Can you imagine that? That would be a heartwarming tale, wouldn't it?
Ed Wiseman, he finally did something good.
Yes, exactly. Finally, that's my contribution to society.
That'd be on your gravestone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's what
I
think that's.
Maybe you should carry a beard transplant card.
Well, just to say, it's okay to give you my beard.
Nothing else.
Yeah,
just the beard.
Everything else, I won't tick all of the other options. I'll add my own box. Beard spelt wrong, just in case, so that the hospital can quickly wheel my beard out to the operating theatre to give it to someone who's nominated themselves.
I tell you what, I would do a piece about you.
I think so. A very sort of hauntingly beautiful black and white montage sequence. I would hope.
Yeah, of course. We'll start working on it.
Yeah, definitely, and get the person who inherits my beard in. You know, like that kid with the heart.
Maybe I'll.
That would be touching. That would be very.
Would that be touching?
I think that would be very fitting. I think that's the least you could do to honour my memory. Definitely, if I do die an untimely death, the least you could do is just take my beard.
Okay.
I think.
I promise I'll do that.
Thank you. That's kind. It's nice to have these things sorted.
Do you know what I think? Because people don't talk about this stuff.
No, people don't. We don't. No. We don't have a healthy conversation about death in this country, and we just have.
And that is a healthy conversation.
And we're doing it in public as well. We're really, like I say, trendsetters. I think we're having these difficult taboo conversations.
I'm just worried that if I do have your beard, the moustache will be pants. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
Potentially.
Because you really didn't follow through with anything decent.
No, but then the mantle passes on to you.
Oh, okay.
You have to. You are now responsible for it.
I'd have to then try and.
It's like inheriting a neighbour's cat. It's just, I didn't really want this. or a palm. I don't know, a money plant. It's sort of now I've got to deal with this, and I'd feel bad if it died.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to. I'll give it a go.
That's all.
I'm going to go for the handlebar. I think that's the thing.
Yes.
Andy Linton has phoned in with a question about bald men. I mean, you're not a bald man, but because you seem to know so much about facial hair, maybe it's something that you could help us with. Do bald men bang their heads more often than normal people?
Ooh.
Normal people.
Is it normal? Yeah, because normal people have a warning. Normal people have an inch or so of whisker.
He says, because if I have hair and if my head gets very close to an object, I feel it on my hair, like you said, like a cat's whisker. Yeah. Cat's whiskers are exactly the length of the width of their body.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they can measure it in speed when they get to a hole.
And that's moustache goals,
that is the goal.
Once you have a moustache...
And you can that's the width of your body. You can measure every doorway before you walk through.
Finally, I'll stop.
So, he says, baldies don't have this early warning system, so they surely must injure their bonces more often? Please research. Andy, we'll ask the question. Do bald men bang their heads more often?
That's very interesting.
That's a very deep question.
It's a very deep question, and it also, I hadn't really thought of the idea of hair being useful beyond just a covering that you have to trim periodically.
That's brilliant.
Well, who would be gathering this data? This sounds like one of those things you're going to have to send freedom of information requests to every single borough to get anything.
Yeah,
meaningful.
to get anything. I wonder if they keep those records, though.
Possibly not.
Do you know, I was in the park one day and I saw this little dog, and he had a collar on, and sticking out of the collar were you know the plastic ties, those things that you think were sticking out of the collar, and I obviously if that's a fashion statement, it's a bit weird, but I said to the owner, I said, what's that about? And he said, oh, the dog's blind, and that helps him when he's in the house navigate around furniture and stuff. So it's like whiskers again. So just sticking out of the collar.
That's a good solution.
It's a very clever solution.
And one that you don't have to, articulate to the dog.
Yeah.
You're not going to teach it Braille, frankly.
No, frankly, that's not going to. My dog's going blind, bless him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, now you know how.
Cataract.
So it's just cable ties wrapped around the collar?
Cable ties sticking out from the collar.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a really clever.
It's quite a good idea.
Yeah.
And then
Maybe bald men.
That's your meal ticket. That's your retirement fund, isn't it?
That is. I'm going to invent a little hat that bald men can wear.
Are you bored with hitting your head statistically slightly more likely than normal
sticking out
people?
Plastic ties, and then if they, that's it. I'm going.
I mean, and a hat would work, I suppose.
Not as well.
Not as well. What would you?
We've got to think of a name for it. I think that's any bald men out there. I've got you.
Andy raises a good point, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Are there...
It's a very serious question.
It is a very serious question. It's also the kind of thing that, you know, if somebody said, yes, if you have a bald head, you are 2% more likely to incur like a self-inflicted concussion.
So serious, yeah.
But then, I don't know, you'd have to be moving slowly enough for that to be the difference. When I walk into door frames, which is, you know...
Because you're quite tall, aren't you?
Yeah. Infrequent these days because I'm used to sort of stooping.
Right.
But I can't imagine ever walking slowly enough for...
There's not a doorway I can't walk through at full height.
You're fine. You're fine.
5'2", that's why.
Yeah, it's where I go into old houses.
Yeah, old houses, actually, I am quite tall for a Victorian person.
People were short back then.
They were tiny.
People were tiny. They were just concussed the whole time.
Or builders just hated people who built really low doors. Yeah.
Oh, but also, they hadn't invented meters yet, I suppose, so they were shooting from the hip a bit.
Yeah, that'll do.
That's
hang on, that's high enough. So Andy, I'll try and find the answer for you. I'm sure you're right. But we have a solution. Ed and I have come up with a business plan. Let's start looking at the papers and look at USA Today, and it doesn't include the fiasco that we'll be talking about a little bit later, about the security fiasco.
It doesn't actually include any of today's fiascos, really. It leads with youth hockey events.
Yeah. I mean, we just choose papers from around the country, but a lot of the problem with the press at the moment in America is that it feels like it's not doing its job. It feels like it's worried about backlash from the Trump administration, and certainly by calling CNN and MSNBC illegal. It's starting to worry. But anyway, this one does say that lawyers dismiss Trump's threats. Now, this was today. Washington, President Trump has directed the Justice Department to investigate frivolous lawsuits against the administration. But some lawyers say he's trying to intimidate them and attack the rule of law. So basically, what he's saying is that now he wants to defund courts that stand against him.
Which is textbook dictator playbook.
I mean, it's textbook dictator playbook, exactly that. Because, you know, as I was saying earlier, I had a brilliant guest, Tad Sturmer, talking about resistance and revolution, an American guy. And you've got the three branches of government, the executive, the judiciary, and Congress. Two of those have already, one of those has already fallen. That's Congress. Forget that. And the judiciary could go very soon, and then you've just got the executive, which is a dictatorship or an autocracy. But the interesting thing is, of course, he's saying, look, the Constitution doesn't. It's about a benign government with faith, if you like. It's like a religious document. They've never had it challenged really before. I think once before, many years ago. But there's no mechanism in there that says the executive has to follow these rules, and that is really scary. It reminded me actually when we were talking of the Human Rights Act. Yeah. And it's a tiny little document, the Human Rights Act. You can literally write it on the back of a fag packet, which leaves it open to interpretation. And this is where you get a lot of people blaming the Human Rights Act for some lawyer interpreting it in a way that is ridiculous. But the Act itself is a solid, beautiful, lovely thing. But it's the same with the Constitution. So what do you do when it's never been challenged this way before? And if Donald Trump decides he's not going to obey the judiciary, there's nothing anyone can do.
Everyone has to be playing the same game for it to work. And as soon as somebody says no,
I'm not doing it. There's no way to handle that. I think that's really interesting, because hundreds of years ago, I suppose, when the Constitution was written, none of this was foreseen. None of this was known. Should have been.
They went into a lot of detail about a lot of stuff. They did. Feel as though they should have.
They should have just said, you know, you can be arrested if you if you collapse one of the pillars or you disobey the other pillar.
It makes me very grateful for our very imperfect system. I was thinking about the House of Lords earlier. Yeah. It's not exactly the most progressive regime, but it kind of works better than something that can just fall over
so quickly
with a bit of a push.
But, I mean, and also we can get rid of a government. Yeah. Very, you know, there is a mechanism. There is no mechanism to get rid of a government, if you like, in America. Well, it's not really They're in for 4 years. Yeah.
It's a very peculiar
odd
structure.
System. Yeah.
The presidency is a very peculiar.
Because if Trump dies, of course nobody wants that. But if Trump dies, then J.D. Vance becomes president. And you can't just collapse the government and have another election, for example, which we could. Yeah. It just takes a vote of no confidence.
We've sorted it out quite well, I think.
We have sorted it out, but I suppose we have lived through, not us, our age groups, but fascism, as I was saying earlier, is in the DNA, it's in the soil of Europe, right? It's something that we are only too acutely aware of, and I think that a lot of systems have been set up so that can't happen again.
And monarchy, to be fair.
And a monarchy,
in some senses, the US Constitution is a fork of that. Yeah. Certainly, it goes that far back.
I wonder if they'll, after this period in history is done, what will they rewrite it?
I don't know. Or just with added. Well, they have added to it, haven't they?
The Second Amendment. They amend all the time.
Well, exactly. I mean,
maybe they have to amend the laws of the Constitution.
Yeah, another amendment.
Another amendment.
Well, I mean, maybe this goes beyond amendment. Maybe they just need to have a root and branch rethink about what they.
How they run that. Yeah. Because I always say this when people say to me, with us being overly watched and all that kind of thing, and they always say, well, I've done nothing wrong, so I've got nothing to hide. And I suggest, but that's always dependent on a benign government. Who decides what's wrong? If they suddenly decided that women driving was wrong, then what you'd be doing would be illegal. Yeah. If a government suddenly decided that women shouldn't be allowed out on the street at night, or men shouldn't be allowed, then what you're doing by walking on the street suddenly becomes illegal. Yeah. Laws change. Governments change.
Definitely.
Things change. And that's why I worry about all of these things being in place for somebody to take advantage of.
Yes. Well, that's the problem with a lot of the authoritarian. Even within governments can change within 6 months. What they're talking about and what they're doing. I think. I don't fully buy into the Americans' libertarian approach to everything either.
No.
But the very authoritarian leanings of certain European. It feels like there's a compromise to be struck, but nobody's really managed it.
But it does feel like we're on the verge of something. I don't know what it is. You've got Turkey fighting for democracy. You've got, a lot of people contact me and saying, the UK feels like it's. I don't think we're anywhere near like Turkey or but you've got Germany as well. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on in the world.
I think we should be quite proud of where we are.
I agree.
Considering.
I mean, it is imperfect, and look, I'm the first one to have a go at this government because I think that they've been utterly appalling so far.
Yeah, they're pretty rubbish.
They have been rubbish, but so were the last lot. They were rubbish as well.
We've had a succession of
bad players.
Bad players, but who have been kept in check by historic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really a constitution, but conventions, and even these guys are trying to chip away at conventions in order to further their own objectives. I think it's fairly sturdy and has been hard won.
Yes,
I think
hard fought for.
Really hard fought for. And I think those are the kinds of things that we should be grateful for, not necessarily for Keir Starmer, but for the situation that he finds himself in, completely unable to, roll out mass surveillance, because that's just not how it works. And like you say, the human rights, that's something that we, it does block a lot of very bad laws.
Very bad laws, the Human Rights Act. And this is why I get really upset when people say, the Human Rights Act is at fault. And like I said, it's a very small document which has been open to abuse. There's no question about it. Right to a family life, and there was a judge who said your cat is your family. Therefore, the things like that have happened, and that's lawyers abusing what is a very simple document
and testing it.
That is pushing it.
How law is created in this country. You sort of take a thing and see if it applies to this situation, and judges argue, and then another judge argues, and
but we just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't get rid of the Human Rights Act, because it's a fantastic thing. Just change it if we have to, tighten it up if we have to, but please keep it the way it is.
Or just keep testing it in the same way that we do. I think it very rarely does anything that we don't want it to do, and usually does some pretty useful things.
It's definitely. I think it's one of those things that once it's gone, that's when the trouble starts.
Yes, I think so.
That's when abuse is.
Well, that's when you start to worry. Whose interest was that in, really?
And I think, why did they want us to get rid of that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as someone, we both work in media.
Yeah,
we know how these things.
Spin. Go. Interesting that one of the first things that that Trump did was to remove a lot of rights, and now they're on America's on a human rights watch list.
Yes, and all sorts of lists for travellers from here.
Yeah. I wouldn't go there, would you?
No.
I mean, you're a travel journalist.
Well, yeah.
Would you go to the States right now?
No, I would love to go to the States. I haven't been for ages. I would love to go to the States, but I can't really. It seems like an easy thing for me to not do at this point. I've got no real, apart from wanting to go because it's interesting. I think it feels a bit like, there are lots of other brands that have been associated with far-right politics that are now becoming a little bit toxic. And maybe the US at the moment is approaching that.
Is a toxic brand.
In the same way, I'd also love to go to Moscow one day, but you can't really justify that.
Yeah.
Personal safety notwithstanding.
Luckily, I went a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I keep talking to people who say, "Oh, it's beautiful." Like, yeah, brilliant, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to go for however long, and all the other, I'd love to go to Ukraine and all of these places.
I was slightly harassed by the FSB when I was there, but that's another story. But yeah, I think that. I wouldn't go to America right now, and I mean they wouldn't let me in, frankly, because of my phone. I'd have to delete everything on my phone.
Yeah.
Anything anti-Trump, they're not happy with.
Yes, I think that's one.
I don't think there's a single thing on my phone that is.
Is there? There's nothing, just wall to wall grumbling about Trump.
Well, I'm not grumbling, but I certainly, watch a lot of stuff. But anyway. Yeah, I wouldn't go, and actually their tourist industry is looking like it's going to be really poor.
Yeah, I think they're having real problems. Lots of people are cancelling trips, and I don't know what I would do. I mean, maybe Disneyland is a bit inoculated from the whole thing because it is so huge, but I don't know what I would do if I was, had a B&B somewhere. I think that would be, I'd feel so let down by the governments that they've made the country so unappealing to travellers that people just thought.
Well, I know the crossings from Canada to the US have dropped by about 500,000.
Yeah,
500,000 travellers.
I'd love to go to Canada as well.
I'd love to go to Canada.
I've never been to Canada.
Yeah, I've never been to. I've been to America. I'll go to Canada if I need to go.
It does. It's meant to be beautiful.
Yeah, why not? Right, we're going to take a break, but Ed and I will be back in just a moment.
UK. On DAB+. On your smart speaker. On your smart TV. And on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good to have your company. With me is Ed Wiseman, and we are looking through Wednesday's papers. The Times, Ed, let's start there. Benefits face deeper cuts as Reeve's welfare reforms fall short. Now, this is, they want to take about 5 billion off PIP, but it's not enough. They need to save another 1.6 billion, and it's going to come from welfare.
Of course. That's definitely where it should come from, I think, not from Amazon. I know we've spoken before about this, and sorry for bringing it right back to transport again, but the new Thames crossing, which has been incorrectly touted.
It's a tunnel, isn't it?
It's a tunnel, yes, exactly. And it's likely to cost many billions. It's already slated at being many billions, and obviously it's going to be 3 times as many.
Of course, it'll be about 90 billion.
Yeah, I reckon it will go up to 20 billion. I reckon that's my just hunch. That's about.
Right. And at the moment they're saying what?
Less than 10, I think. It's still billions, but it's also still more. I think it's like 7 or 8 billion or something. Because digging a tunnel is actually incredibly expensive. It transpires to link Essex with Kent in a way that is very similar to how it's already linked.
Cheaper to build a bridge?
Possibly cheaper to build a bridge, but it's still very expensive to build a bridge.
Yeah.
Anyway, judging by high-speed rail, judging by HS2...
It cost, 120 million to build the Dartford crossing.
Back in
Back in the day. 91. So that would be billions now.
Yeah. And they put a toll on it. Which I think is always where the money's going to come from.
So we're looking at billions to build a tunnel.
Yeah.
And yet we're going to steal money from disabled people.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not the same amount. It's not the government coffers. They're going to go out to private business and say, would you like to massively pad this project for the next 15 years, and then charge people an increasing amount of money to use it.
Yeah.
While at the same time, obviously, we're supposed to be taking the train and not driving, etc. But it does kind of dwarf the amount that they are going to take from, ultimately, it's individual disabled people taking a few quid at a time in order to
and it just like you said. I mean, I know you and I've talked about this before. There are companies in this country that are making so much money out of our pockets, and they don't pay the right amount of tax. I'm not talking about taxing them more than they should pay. I'm not talking about taxing the rich even. But if you've got an organisation like Starbucks or like Amazon or like any of those big companies that are only making money from us, why don't they pay the proper tax? Yeah. Because it's easier to go after vulnerable disabled people than it is to have a chat with Bezos. Yeah. Because they'll fight back. And I wonder if he bangs his head quite often. Good point. Good point. I don't think he's very tall. Also a good point. So perhaps he's already somewhat protected. Good point. He'd be fine in a cottage. And he's got a taller wife, so he just has to send her first. Yeah, exactly. And then maybe that's why. Maybe that's their thing. Yeah. She walks into the room first to see if she bangs her head. Yeah. He doesn't need a Petrie hat. Which is a shame, because he'd be able to afford a very nice one. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm planning different ranges. I think Petrie hat works quite well. Petrie hat works quite well. If you enjoyed the Petrie dish, you'll love the Petrie hat. Subscribers enjoyed. Yeah. Right, let's have a look at the other stories. The US placates Putin. What a shocker! Over a Black Sea ceasefire. Russia and Ukraine have agreed to a ceasefire in the Black Sea, but the Kremlin has made it conditional on Western sanctions being lifted against key Russian companies. Yes. Times stand first. White House signals easing of sanctions in deal. That can't be a coincidence. Signal was the app that they were using to discuss and when one member of the Signal group was in fact in Russia at the time. In Moscow. I think that the Times is making a funny joke there. It would be funny if it wasn't so sad. It would be funny if it wasn't so blooming serious. And also, it's not surprising. There's always a catch with Putin. There's always a catch. there's always a quid pro quo. It's like Trump, isn't it? That's probably why he admires him.
Yes.
Didn't do something. I mean, the war would end if Russia stopped shooting, because Ukraine is just defending themselves, so they're only shooting back.
Yes. Although I don't think that's the narrative that's necessarily.
No, of course not. Of course, that's not the narrative.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, do you believe that Putin's got compromise? Do you think he's got something on Trump, and that it's?
Yes, I do.
That's how it's been.
Yeah, I do. I genuinely do. And or either that, or he owes him so much money.
Yeah.
Because when Trump lost all his money for the first, second, or third time, I can't remember which one it was. And then he went to Russia, because none of the American banks would give him any money. So he went to Russia to get some money. And there's already all sorts of, not compromising, but really quite photographs of Trump at that time in Russia. So it wouldn't surprise me. But there's definitely a relationship with Russia that has not been revealed as such.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's a very rapid change in 6 months.
3 months.
3 months.
2 months, whatever it is. It feels like longer. OK, and then Harry quits his African charity amid infighting.
Yes.
Duke of Sussex has resigned from his charity with a heavy heart amid unthinkable infighting. Prince Harry's departure, along with his co-founder, several trustees, comes as the Charity Commission launches an investigation over concerns raised over its governance. There you go.
Interesting. Yeah, I read
Harry's
about that. I don't really know anything about that charity. I don't know what.
No, I don't either. But it's kind of on quite a few of the pages at the moment. A message here: how do you throw the baby out with the bathwater? Mine always gets tangled on the plug filter.
We're solving problems.
We're solving problems every day. That expression comes from when the baby was always the last person in the bath. Did you know this?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there are the old tin baths that we use, and they would fill it with water, and Dad would come back from the mines, right? And because he'd been working, he was the first in the bath. So all the dirt would come off him, and then Mum, and then the kids, and then the baby. And often the water was so dirty by then that's where the expression "don't throw the baby out with the bathwater" comes from.
Interesting.
Do we like that?
How long did it take to think, hang on, Dad's covered in soot?
Well, why it's under the water, I don't know why they didn't do it the other way around. I'm not a historian.
But they obviously weren't that aware of their surroundings.
No, but also, if the baby was under the water anyway, you might as well throw it out with it.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's not alive,
No.
right? So,
could have given it a quick rinse. I think, I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously. In their weirdly
but you
small
would
houses.
think that they'd figure it out, do the baby first.
Yes.
But no,
well,
they
that's
didn't.
why they had to keep
the dirtiest person
reiterating.
went in. Don't throw the baby out with the bath.
Because otherwise they'd be, oh yeah, that happened again.
Every day's a school day. And I'll be back in just a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there. Good to have you with us, myself and Ed Wiseman. Carol is just she wants in on the hat with the spikes on it for bald men. She said the handy antlers.
Handy antlers.
Yeah.
Handy antlers.
Handy antlers hat. That's all right. And she says it lights up as you brush the ceiling because it detects emulsion. She wants 5%.
Oh, interesting. Detects emulsion, so it doesn't even have to be in contact.
What if it's a gloss ceiling, though? You're done for, aren't you?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Or, a beam. Exposed timber is the...
Exposed beam.
That's obviously the kryptonite of any tall, bald man.
Yeah. But it would say, Jill has got in on this as well, and says bald men bang their heads and you can always see the mark because of the no hair. So I think it's an important...
But that's going to skew the data because of detection rates. Because plenty of, men with a full head of hair, or normal people, sorry, as Andrew
normal people,
might bang their head and be able to obfuscate the impact, whereas maybe that's...
Yeah.
Maybe that could be leading to our assumption.
I mean, maybe there is a case, actually, we could open up the market a bit, because there will be men with hair that bang their head.
Mm-hmm.
So they could wear one as well. Do you see where I'm
going? I think
going?
anybody could. That's the good thing, It's not
anyone can wear it,
anyone
of
really
any gender.
Yeah. And dogs.
And dogs.
It really is one size fits all.
It really is.
All you need is some cable ties.
All we need is some seed money.
Yeah.
And some cable ties.
You need some seed money and some cable ties, yeah.
Cable ties and a wire coat hanger,
yes.
I'm thinking.
I think
they
so.
They bend it round.
Yeah.
Like Blue Peter days.
Yeah.
And then just add... I shouldn't be telling people how to do it, because they'll do it themselves.
We could use a tea cosy.
For the winter?
Yeah. Tea cosy and cable ties.
And then it will poke up through the netted.
Yeah.
That's not. I like it. We're getting there. We're getting there. Any other helpful suggestions? Thank you. That's amazing. We're supposed to be doing the papers, aren't we?
True, we are.
Let's have a look at the Telegraph. Mortal blow to assisted dying bill. I knew this was going to happen.
Yes, we discussed this ages ago,
we knew this. They were going to chicken and run off. But the Isle of Man have just approved assisted dying.
Sure.
That's extraordinary, isn't it? They've just agreed to it.
It's extraordinary, but it's very small, isn't it?
Yeah,
they did something else quite progressive quite recently.
They really did. They're an incredibly progressive little place, actually.
There's not very much going on.
No, but it's closer than Dignitas. So if somebody in the UK wanted to go there, then maybe you'd be allowed to go there.
Would you rather die in Douglas or the Alps?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean,
I've never been to Douglas. I've been to the Alps.
I've been a couple of times. Yeah, it's quite nice. It is quite nice, but ultimately it's just it's got a...
And all the people have got 3 legs.
All the people have got 3 legs. Yeah. And no speed limits outside the towns either.
That's because they've got 3 legs, because they can run fast.
Because they can.
Yeah. The world has changed. Oh, we knew this was coming, didn't we? As Rachel Reeves says, her plans have unravelled. So it's no longer the 20 billion black hole. It is now the world has changed. And, of course, there are more demands now on us to protect ourselves militarily as America turns its back on.
Yeah, which should be quite a good distraction from domestic policies for a bit, I think.
And a good excuse.
And a very good excuse, definitely.
So when she wants to put tax up in October, that'll be the excuse. It'll be the defence budget.
Previously, it was look what the Tories made us do, and now it's
because it's out of our hands.
We're fighting fascism, single-handedly.
Yeah.
Or rather, disabled people in the north are fighting.
Disabled people are fighting it because we're taking all the money off them. Yeah. The Guardian, fears of further tax rises. What did I just say? It just came out of my mouth. Promises to secure Britain's future, so that's going to be the excuse. The other 2 stories we've had a look at. The Daily Mail. Don't shift blame for the economy's woes, voters tell Reeves. Bit late for that. Oh, and there's Jeff Bezos.
There he is.
There he is. He's not taller than his fiancée.
That photograph makes a mockery.
Makes a mockery of the real situation.
I think.
Inside secrets of the wedding of the century. Don't care.
Is it the wedding of the century? We've had several so far, haven't we?
Sam just said he's banging his head on the top of the frame there.
Yeah, that's it.
So he needs the handy antlers.
He does.
Or the Petrie hat. He's 5'7".
5'7", which is only slightly below average for a man. I think the average for a man is 5'9", isn't it?
Yeah. I can't even imagine 5'7". It's quite tall to me.
5'7" is. I think it would be tall for a woman, but it's still.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that tall, but yeah, I don't.
No, it's not. I don't think it is that tall.
Maybe that brooch is nice in real life, but it's a bit of an odd.
It's an odd. Well, it's just I've got money brooch, isn't it?
It's probably,
these are diamonds.
It's probably like £1 billion.
Probably.
The De Beers diamond stapled to
They could give it to Rachel Reeves. She could flog it.
That's what's depressing.
I know.
What is
that
depressing.
is what's depressing.
Is that his house is worth a week's, 2 weeks welfare bill.
I know, it's tragic. It really is. Rachel, this is the Mirror. Rachel Reeves exclusive. Chancellor reveals an extra $2.2 billion for spending on defence. Says security is #1 priority, but claims the poor won't pay the price. Rubbish.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true either. She tells Mirror UK is ready to face down Putin and global threats.
I think the Mirror is the only paper not engaged in the competition to find the least flattering picture of Rachel Reeves. Yeah. This one is a bit goofy, but the others have gone.
They've really gone.
They're really flicking through what's being filed to make the grossest possible portrait of her. I don't really understand what she's doing. I think she's near a tank.
Why is she wearing a high-vis jacket?
She's wearing a high-vis tank, and a high-vis jacket, and the tank is all very green. It's a sort of slightly peculiar mise en scène. But she's looking like she's having the best day of her life.
She does.
She looks like she's absolutely thrilled to be in whatever that machine is.
And that high-vis jacket just makes her feel important.
Yeah.
The Metro global shockwaves at the data leak. I mean, this was extraordinary.
It was.
And they're playing it down. It absolutely is gobsmacking to me how these conversations are going on an app called Signal.
Yes.
Which everybody they've been. It's not secure, right?
Yeah.
And
more so than WhatsApp.
But still,
it's not a classified.
It's not a classified, and Trump, first of all, going, I don't know anything about it, which, first of all, made him look stupid, frankly. Yeah. And then they just attack the journalist, who, as far as I can see, has been incredibly responsible because he was sent there. He was in a car park. He'd just been to the shops. He was in a car park and his phone goes off. And he starts seeing this classified information about a bombing. He first of all thought it was a hoax, thought it was a joke, because of all this classified information and the main, J.D. Vance, what's her name? Chewy, or whatever her name is, who's apparently a Russian asset. All of these, Gabba, that's who it is. All these people chatting, of course you'd think it was a joke. You'd think it was a joke. You'd go, oh, come on, as if that's going to happen.
And that's in fact.
And then after the bombing, he went, that's exactly what they said was going to happen. And then he's done the right thing as a journalist and exposed it. But he took out of the chat all of the stuff that was compromising, all of the stuff that was national security. He removed all of the stuff that could endanger American soldiers' lives. And then he's just shown this. And what's the Trump administration done? They've called him sleazy. They've said he's making it up. Then they've had to agree that it's not made up. Gabba was in front of the committee today, wouldn't even confirm she was on it, and yet it had already been confirmed she was on it. J.D. Vance slagging off Europe. Pete Hegseth. I mean, it is an absolute crisis. Do people understand how much protective intelligence for this country comes through the Pentagon?
Obviously, that's kind of open access now.
Obviously.
It's on a shared Google Doc.
And if we've got some intelligence now, right, are we going to share it with America?
Well, that's the thing. How many of the eyes are we actually sharing it with at this point? Because they were withholding intelligence from Ukraine.
Yeah.
I think fleetingly. I think
they did it for about a week. Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, Putin loved it and took full, But a lot of people going, and Trump going, oh, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It was a glitch. What?
Yeah.
We cannot trust this lot with military stuff
or with
anymore.
anything really. It's quite budget. The whole thing is very
but also they were sending it. They just bombed people and killed people. They might be their enemy, but they're sending emojis to each other. Go, yeah, well done. That was great. I mean, they're like frat boys.
It's slightly deranged, but we've all had bosses like this. We've all worked with people like this.
I couldn't possibly comment.
Yeah, no, of course not.
So Trump backs Chump. Yeah. He's a good man, this is White, who it was him or one of his people that added the journalist. Hey, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
I don't know, yeah. I think maybe this is just him thinking, right, I'm going to add a journalist and watch this
play out.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, the fuss and the this is what absolutely annoys me, is the hypocrisy. Not that I expect politicians to not be hypocritical, but the fuss they made over Hillary Clinton and her emails, saying she should be in jail. You know, go to jail or whatever it is.
And
you know,
Biden's laptop and Hunter Biden.
And this, they're going, no, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But then it was never really about. Obviously, everybody knows it was never really about that.
No.
I wonder. I wonder how it's going to play out. What's going to happen to the Republican Party if and when this blows over? How do you return to a state of law and order and respect for convention?
That was interesting. I was talking to Chad about that earlier as well, and he said even if it stopped now, such damage has already been done.
Yeah.
That it would take a long time, and also to find any trust in the systems. It's almost too late. He says the window is closing now.
Yeah.
Before revolution.
Yeah.
Not just resistance. It's
well,
very
also, you know, the Russia's got what it wants,
and it'll keep getting it.
Well, yeah.
That's the problem. But honestly, a lot of these absolute clowns should be in jail. They should be in jail.
That's the thing. Perhaps one day they will.
They should be in jail. I look forward to it. I think they all look really rather smart in orange, and let's face it, it will match Donald Trump. So his skin. Let's take a quick break. Oh, I'm going to get people going, how dare you say that about Donald Trump? Because I can. Quick break. Ed and I'll be back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hi there, this is Talk, and it's Petrie here with you, and with me is the fabulous Ed Wiseman, transport and travel journalist. Let's have a look at the Express. Victims must see sense of justice being served. That's an odd way to frame it, I think. But yeah, I absolutely agree with that victims must feel that justice has been served, right? and often people don't. I mean, you look at Joey Barton. There's another a story here about him.
Yes.
He's just been found guilty of kicking his ex in the head. Kicked his wife in the head. Guilty.
Yeah.
Not going to prison.
What did he get?
I can't remember. What did get? Nothing. Suspended sentence and a fine of about 200 quid. I think.
Community service kind of thing.
But this is it, isn't it? You kick your wife in the head, and that's
fine.
So a lot of people are not seeing what they believe should be justice, and justice and revenge are different, right? Revenge has got no place in justice, but they have to feel like somebody's paid for their crime, and I think a lot of people don't.
I think with murders in particular,
I
I think sentencing is generally quite high. You get quite a high penalty.
Yeah.
But for other stuff, there seems to be it does seem to be quite a big gap.
Yeah.
But I mean,
they're trying not to jail people. I mean, what message is that sending out to criminals?
Yes. But
if I break the law, I'm not likely to go to prison, so hey.
But then are prisons full of people who also don't need to be there?
Yes.
I think that's the other problem, that they're jailing people for stuff that they don't need to be jailed for, shouldn't be jailed for.
Well, they should be in other forms of help.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually. Drugs, all of those.
But we need to just have a real rethink about what prison is for, who goes there and why and for how long, instead of thinking, well, we filled all the prisons up with television licence evaders, and now somebody who kicks his wife in the head
manages to walk away.
Has to go and mow a
this is the parents of Sarah Everard have warned that many murder victims' families are not getting justice with killers let off lightly. Of course, the murderer of Sarah Everard got a whole life sentence because he was a police officer. But, they're saying that Jeremy and Susan Everard said a whole life order for the killer of Sarah made us feel that the enormity of the crime was recognised, and that's the point, isn't it? That victims are the ones that are so left out of the discussions. They just don't. The victims don't seem to matter.
No, I wonder why that is. I wonder what.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know why victims just when you think about it as well. There's a victim of a horrendous crime. The criminal then goes to prison and gets rehabilitation, gets pottery lessons or whatever. What does the victim get? Literally nothing. They're abandoned.
Or a victim surcharge of.
Yeah.
Don't they get something else?
50 quid,
but they do
not
get
very much.
Compensation can be ordered.
But it's nothing.
In certain circumstances.
But it's really not very much. But you've got there's a sense here that victims are completely left behind. And I remember thinking about this when the student riots happened in London, and there was a student who was on the top of the Tory party building.
Millbank.
Millbank. And anyway, he was sent to prison. And he was able to do his entire degree while he was in prison free of charge.
Quite good wheeze, really.
Whereas the students that had followed the law had to pay for their own degree. And I did think at that point, I thought, well, hang on a minute. That feels like a reward. He managed to do his degree, and fair enough, people would say, but why didn't he have to take out a loan like all the other students and pay for it himself and have debt?
I hadn't actually heard of that.
That's one of those stories that has really stuck with me. When we look at the justice system, where is the justice in that? Where you've got other students who stayed at home and weren't part of the riots, didn't do anything wrong, they pay for their degree, this kid got it free.
And he's,
it's just wrong.
How did he get it free? Was that?
Because he was locked up, and that was part of his, while you're in prison, education.
But at the same university?
Well, they would have just sent the papers to him. Yeah, he just managed to do the studying in jail.
Continue. That's interesting. It wasn't a sort of open university job either.
He got his degree. Obviously they sent him all the paperwork. He probably got a lecturer occasionally, but it was all paid for by the taxpayer.
He's in his 30s now.
Yeah, I know.
That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
It was a long time ago. Yeah.
20,
but I
2010.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah.
2011 was it?
20.
Because was that almost about the student? Was that about tuition fees?
Yes,
almost?
that was about the rise of the
Liberal Democrats reneged on their.
Yeah, I think it was. But yeah, he got all of his free of charge. And I did think then this is something really wrong with the justice system, where the people who obey the law end up not doing as well as people who break the law. It's extraordinary. But I do agree with the victims. Victims must feel that justice has been done. The Daily Star, saved until last. J.D. Dunce.
Brilliant.
Love that. Hates Britain, hates Europe, and hates Ukraine. And could be US president at any moment. He genuinely does seem to have a real problem with Britain and Europe.
He's got a real problem with something.
Yeah.
I wonder what's...
He is...
Yeah.
A loathsome man. I mean, honestly. This is why I'm not getting a visa to go to America.
He doesn't seem very... None of them seem very happy. I think that's the thing.
No.
There's no levity. There's no sense of warmth.
No. And his wife at the moment is annoying Greenland.
Yes.
She's gone on her own with a kid to Greenland. And Greenland saying, we don't want you here.
We don't really like you.
No, we don't want you here. What are you doing here? And also, they're sending another lot. Mike Waltz, I think, is going... after he's finished texting about it, no doubt. He's going to Greenland as well, and everybody's the Greenland people, the red, white, and blue land, as they want to call it in America, are really hacked off with it. So we don't want you here. Go away. It's so rude. But anyway, is this the most dangerous man in the world? And there is US Vice President J.D. Dunce. Dubbed the world's most dangerous man after messaging leaks revealed how new insults to Britain and our allies, calling everybody pathetic. Freeloading and pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, it's
they're not good
at
diplomacy, this lot.
No, or anything really, in a sort of an operational standpoint.
Fair point.
But I think what's particularly interesting about all of this, I think my main takeaway is that it is important to have institutions and structures in place even when they don't benefit you, because what these guys are doing, they're thinking, right, well, this doesn't benefit me, so I'm just going to get rid of it. And suddenly you miss it when it's gone. It has obviously unintended consequences, and I think that there is a lot to think about when we're trying to radically change in this country, that actually a lot of things were there for a reason.
Yeah, I agree, and I do hope that what is, and I feel so heartbroken for America at the moment. I genuinely do. That I do hope that this serves as a warning, perhaps, to all of us, that a reckless choice is sometimes disastrous.
Yes, and that even a democratic choice can also be.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? That democracy at the moment is not offering anybody anything, and when you start to lose faith in democracy, there is nothing else like it. So we end up with an autocracy, and some people. There was a survey not long ago where the young people were asked about it, and they said they'd prefer an autocracy or a dictatorship than they would democracy. And you just think, well, you don't know what you don't know what you're talking about, and B, no, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's down to us to offer them a slightly better alternative.
I agree, but if Labour doesn't start actually listening to the public,
but they don't want
then
to.
They're playing into Reform's hands.
Precisely, and I think that's the thing. But also, they want to push through their own agenda and their own ideas because they think they're the good guys.
But why aren't they listening to the public?
Well, because they're the good guys. They don't need to. Same as these, same as anybody else. They have the. They're on a mission from God, They're sort of.
That's what they believe.
Yeah. And they think that they're sort of. They have to be right because the Tories are the bad guys, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of that even now, amid all the.
But this is why
cuts.
The church and state should never be combined.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, it's wild what they do over in the States.
It really. Well, they've just started a religious. Thingy, haven't they, as well? Which is the first time that's ever been done. Department.
It's all a bit nutty.
Yeah,
but that will do well with the electorate.
Yes,
sure.
It will. It will. Well, I mean, all you've got to do is read a little bit at the front page of Project 2025, actually, which everybody thought was just, oh, come on, that's never going to happen. Trump said, I've never heard of it, never heard of it. Literally playbook, tick, 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 tick. Ed, thank you.
It's a minute to
I
midnight.
really appreciate it, and I don't want you to die, but I'm looking forward to the beard.
Yes, no, exactly.
So thank you.
It's every cloud.
Thank you. Ed Wiseman there. Right, coming up, it's just you and me, and I want to talk to you about what's going on with care costs. So if you need to get a carer at home, what that looks like for you, and are you able to even afford it? And you're looking at somewhere in the region of £25 an hour to get somebody in. And if you've got £23,000 in a bank account, you're paying all of that. And also councils now want to charge you an administration fee. One council particularly, £1,800 a year of admin costs. So I want to hear from you about the care that you have had to do for your loved one, because maybe you can't afford the care that's on offer. Give me a call. Don't go anywhere.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good morning to you. It is Petrie here. I realised that was a bit loud. I apologise if you're just sort of quietly thinking of going off to sleep. Just wake you up. I'm sorry. Maybe I woke the dog up as well. I do apologise. I'll try to be a little bit calmer and deeper so that you can all wander off. But listen, what I want to talk to you about this morning, because it's something that absolutely boils my blood, is the cost of social care, the cost of home care, the cost of all of it. When you look at the way that people are charged just to look after a loved one. And look, old age, infirmity, ill health, potentially coming to all of us. Old age definitely is, if you're lucky enough, right? So health isn't a given. None of us are guaranteed good health. And I suppose this resonates a bit with me because of the condition I've got. I never know what's going to happen next. I could very easily end up in a position where I'm in a wheelchair at some point. And that, of course, it makes you think about things like, what would I do for care? I wouldn't want my son to have to do all of it. Could I afford to do it? You know, what would be the position I was in? How often would I need somebody to come in? And I think everybody should think about that, because you know, we're one accident away, aren't we, any of us, from needing care at home, perhaps. But when you look at the cost of getting a carer in, it's no wonder so many people, millions of people in this country, end up doing the caring themselves, to their detriment, to the detriment of their lives. Now, they want to do it because they love the person in their family that they're looking after. But I often speak to you, the home carers, the carers that look after loved ones, the ignored, the forgotten, and downright heroic, in my view, people who care for their loved ones. And I often hear from you that it sometimes even becomes too much and you just need a break, or you need some respite, or it would be really helpful if you could get somebody in a couple of times a week, or you could do this. But when you hear that there are councils now charging £1,800 for pensioners to access private care, it's just money grabbing, isn't it? It's just dirty. It's just grubbing around for extra cash. And they're saying these are the admin costs that it takes for us to find a carer for you. And then, of course, they get a care company which charges, I don't know, what, 25, 30 quid an hour. And the carer probably gets 10 quid. There's money to be made here. And that's what disgusts me. That people who are vulnerable, people who are often old, people who've managed to scrape a little bit of savings together throughout their lives of working hard, are then treated like this when they actually need us the most. They've probably had they've never been on benefits, they've never needed anything, they've never taken anything out of the country, they've put everything into the country, and then when they need a bit of help, we go, no, we're going to charge you. So, I want to hear from you about what help you get from councils, perhaps, for your care package, whether you don't get anything at all, so you end up having to do it all. Could you even afford it? And what about these limits on savings? 23 grand. All your life, you've worked all your life, and if you've got any more than that, you're paying full cost. And if you've got any more than 14 grand, then you pay 14 grand your whole life. You just want a few quid, so perhaps you can go on holiday. Perhaps you're going to reward your grandchildren, something. And you can't even do that. What's the point? I often think, what is the point in us saving and paying mortgages and being reasonable and responsible and you know, to only have it all taken away from us if we get old and ill? All of it, gone. Sorry, we're going to punish you for saving money. So I want to hear from you. This is a council that from next month will be charging £1,851. The cash-strapped council has written to those with more than £23,250 in savings and who are in receipt of privately funded care, saying the fee covers administrative costs. One resident, who's 78, called the charge outrageous, saying the council manifestly failed to carry out the limited role it has in processing care payments to date. There's a cumbersome system where we pay the council, who then pay the agency. All they have to do is forward the charges correctly, yet it's a nightmare. So all of these people who are I mean, initially, by the way, this council planned a £2,000 surcharge or charge, but because of opposition, they dropped it. What, by 150 quid? Cheers, thanks for that, really. It was put out to consultation. I don't know why they bother consulting, because it was put out to consultation, and the majority of people said, no, this was an outrageous suggestion. But they went ahead and did it anyway, so what's the point? Point. I think this is disgusting. The rate consists of £511 for sourcing care components. I don't know what that means. £480 for procurement, which I'm sorry is sourcing health components. That's what procurement is, sourcing health requirement. That's what it is. That is procurement. But still. And £170 billing services and debt recovery. A further £195 goes towards invoice payments, which is the same as billing, right? They must think we're all stupid. So £170 for billing services and £195 towards invoice services. With a £326 reserved for quality assurance. Sounds like BS to me. None of that makes any sense. It's just getting money. So twice for procurement and twice for billing you're charged, and then 326 is kept back, reserved to do a survey. 54% of respondents said they disagreed with the additional charge, and 21% disagreed with it being so high. Only 7% did not object. But they still went ahead and did it anyway, because nobody listens to people. This is outrageous to me. Absolutely outrageous. Listen, give me a call. I'd like to hear your stories of what it's like to be trying scraping around to try and get a little bit of help for your loved one. 0344 499 1000, and you can message me, text the word talk and your message to 87222. Let's speak to Janice, who's in Clacton-on-Sea. Hello, Janice.
Hi, Petrie. Can I just ask how your brother is, please?
Oh, my brother, he seems to be okay at the moment. Yeah, his mobility's really poor.
You fought tooth and nail for him, didn't you?
Huh?
You fought tooth and nail.
Yeah, I had to really fight for him in a way that it was totally unreasonable. Yeah.
You just scared the life out of me.
Why?
Well, I watched my mum have care, and it was really appalling, really appalling. But I'm getting to a point now where I'm not doing very well. I can't get food in,
right?
And I'm going to be looking at someone to come and look after me. I can't afford that. How on earth am I going to afford that kind of money?
Well, if you haven't got any money,
I haven't got any money.
Well, you won't have to pay it. You won't have to pay it.
Still gone. Well, I saw the care my mum got, and I'm sorry. I don't want it.
No.
When she had care, and I'm going back some years, they stood her up. She was 5 stone. Stood her up in front of a window, treated her like a child, washed her down. I had to walk in. They came in every time I worked shift late nights. They came in when I came in. Well, that was no good to her. She was on oxygen, and sometimes the power would go off. I get a call. You can't get home. I can't get home. And the care she got under Labour, I'm sorry to say that, it was appalling.
But I think all care, all care seems to be about getting people off care. You know, it just seems to be finding a way to dodge it. And that is wholly unacceptable in the 5th richest country in the world.
Well, are we?
Yeah, apparently.
I don't think so anymore.
Well, we are, according to GDP and all of that. We are a rich country. We behave like we're not, but we are a rich country.
Third world, don't we?
We are. It's becoming more and more like it every day.
But we can't help people.
But listen, Janice,
this country doesn't want to help people.
No, I'm starting to get that message really loud and clear. But this is, if you haven't got any money at all, right, then the council will pay. But what standard of care you would get from that, I don't know.
Well, I saw what my mum got, and it was awful, terrible.
Really?
And I don't really want that. I'll be honest. I'd rather go and top myself and look at what she got. Anything they did came in, they didn't even make her a cup of tea. They gave her nothing. I'd come home from a shift. I had to empty her commode. She was on oxygen. They did nothing. And I'm going back years now. And if that's what I'm looking at, no, thank you.
No, I mean, look, it's a really tragic place to find ourselves in, that there are people like you saying, I'd rather not have that care than even have it. And it to me, it's just so unacceptable. The people like you, you've worked all your life, fallen on hard times, you've fallen into ill health, and then what? We abandon you then?
Yeah. I mean, I've got no family left. I've got a couple of people. I used to speak to you till 4 in the morning. You were my lifeline. But I've got a couple of people, but I'm at their mercy. I've been out about 10 times in 5 years, and I'm at their mercy. And, I live whether they want to get me a bit of shopping or not.
Have you spoken to your local MP?
What, Nigel Farage?
Yeah.
Ah. Yeah, right.
He's never there, is he? I mean, I don't know how you speak to him.
No, he can't come here because people don't like him and they'll cause all sorts of ruckus. So,
you liked him enough to vote for him.
I didn't vote for him. No, they did.
Well, he's always in America anyway.
No, he needs to go to America.
Yeah.
I don't want Trump's ideas, thank you.
No.
But no, I think he wants private healthcare. So that's already.
That is true. He has talked about that, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Listen, Janice, I'll always be here. So none of that talk, all right? You can always talk to me.
Yeah. No, you're always there for me. You've been here for me for years. So.
Yeah. I'll always be somewhere. I'll always be somewhere for you. Put it that way. One way or the other. I'm not going anywhere. You look after yourself, my darling, won't you?
And you. And,
all right.
And that's okay. And Barney, isn't it? It's Barney.
The dog?
The dog.
Bailey.
Yeah. Bailey. And I've got Ratty. Ratty's still here.
Oh, I tell you what, I couldn't survive without my Bailey.
I wouldn't be here without Ratty.
No. We love them so much, though. I mean, I always
you either.
Oh, bless your heart. And likewise, my love, you take care of yourself. Please look after yourself and Ratty. As long as we've got a dog, we're happy. That's just it, isn't it? I'm going to take a quick break, but I will be back.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, good morning to you. This is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you. And we're talking at the moment about something that really does boil my blood, and it genuinely does, because I think that there are so many millions of you who are working from home, working at home, looking after a loved one. And the reason you've been left with that burden, if you like, and I mean that in the kindest possible way, because I know for many of you it is an act of absolute love, it is still nonetheless a burden financially, emotionally, physically, psychologically, in every single possible way. And you don't get any help. And even if you wanted help, could you afford it? And it is really striking to me that there are people, many people in this country, who work their whole life. They never go on benefits. It's still the minority of the country, isn't it? Most of us work. Most of us don't use the benefit system. Most of us are reasonably healthy, and we don't use the NHS until we get older. And then we hope that all of that work that we've put in, all of those hours, all of that time, being a good member of society, never going to prison, not costing the justice system anything, we hope that we'll be looked after for doing our best, for being decent citizens of this nation. And yet it's then, it appears, that we are just dropped. We're just abandoned. It's like, well, you've done your bit now, and now you're useless. Sorry, not going to help you. And that certainly seems to be the case when it comes to care. If you've worked all your life and you've managed to save a little bit of money, 20 odd grand, and you've worked a whole life for that, right? You've saved, you put it to one side. No, you've got too much money. You're going to have to pay. And it's not just that it's, I thought it was about 23 grand, but then if you've got 14,000, so there's another step, you still pay, you just pay a little bit less. So they want you broke. This government wants you to have nothing. All governments want us to have nothing. So we're so entirely reliant on them that we just do as we're told. Because if we need them, if we're reliant on them giving us money and feeding us, whatever, we'll do what we're told, right? So they don't want us to have anything. So if you've got a little bit of something, they'll take that off you. And then you've got councils now who are broke because they've mishandled your money. Don't buy any of this absolute nonsense. It's because they've mishandled the money that we give them. They've invested it in a hokey-pokey schemes. They've played roulette in thinking they were big building developers. Birmingham just decided it wasn't going to pay equal pay. Not going to pay women and men who are doing exactly the same job, the same money. And they got caught out. And then they've got to pay it all back. So it's not that they're broke because, oh, government doesn't give them money. They pay. Have you seen the way they pay themselves? Have you seen their pensions? It's extraordinary. They're just little fiefdoms. They don't pay anybody. They don't pay their contractors properly. Birmingham's on bin strike at the moment. And rightly so, from what I've read. Good on you. But they're now charging, because they're broke, pensioners even more money. £1,851 to be exact, a year, to help you find carers. Nothing else, just that. And then help you with the invoicing. They become the middleman, basically. So they're charging you to be the middleman. What other money are they making? Come on, you're not telling me that they choose these care homes or these care providers without a little bit of, a bit of friendly banter, the odd brown envelope. Wouldn't put it past them. These huge care providers that make billions every year. And they're allowed to do that from people who are vulnerable. So the councils choose the care provider and they then act as the middleman. And they tell the care provider, right, they need a carer there. And they invoice the care provider. And they charge you handsomely for that as well. So what's that invoice actually look like? Right? What does it actually look like? Is it what you end up paying? Or is there a little bit going towards the council? I don't know. We'd have to look at a freedom of information. And then you pay them 25 quid an hour, 30 quid an hour for the carer. How much do you think the carer gets of that? Because the care company, they need their profit. This is a Ponzi scheme. No more, no less than a Ponzi scheme. And it's disgusting. It's wrong. On every level. Give me a call. Tell me if your council have ever helped you. We have to be careful naming the council. As you can tell, I'm not naming the council that is wanting to charge this money, and that's because we're in purdah, because there's elections going on. So I want to hear from you. I want to hear what it's like around your way, getting carers to perhaps come in and help. But let's talk to a carer. Let's talk to somebody who works in a care home. Kevin, hello.
Good morning, Petra.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Yeah, I've just finished work, so I'm just having a bit of downtime.
Oh, I'm very grateful you chose to share it with me. That's nice.
Yeah, it's lovely. I love the programme.
Oh, thank you.
So when are you going to get Stephen Fry on?
Oh, he's my co-presenter, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sir Stephen Fry, after today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I love him. I'm going to try. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. One way or the other. Like Greenland with Trump. One way or the other. So, Kevin, how come you finish work so late?
I'm on different shifts. My shift patterns can be 7 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. It can be 8 in the morning till 3. It can be a 2-9, or tonight it was a 3-10.
And, okay, so it's a 3-10, and you work in a care home?
Yes, I do, yes.
Okay. So just give me, that's a long day. Give me a rough idea what your day is like in this care home.
Well, my care home is slightly different because it's challenging behaviour.
Okay.
But the thing is you're talking about council and they're paying private care homes. I know the figures they charge to keep these people looked after, but my point of view is not going to company names, but one of the main care home providers in England is a Canadian firm.
Well, they're not daft, right?
Oh, no.
These companies invest in this system.
You tell me of one private care home that's gone bankrupt.
I mean, look, they make an absolute fortune, and they know it. This is.
If I had money, I'd probably cheekily invest in the company. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, you're absolutely right. What does a carer get? And it's probably 11, maybe £12 an hour. But I know what they get off the council, you see.
So that is shocking to me.
It is. And I mean, it's okay that I understand your point of the elderly. I'm pretty old now myself. I'm 1 year from 60. And the thing is, you're absolutely right. I've paid my national insurance since 1982. I've never been on the dole. I've got a bad hip. I've gone to see them and fobbed off. You're absolutely right. You paid in all your life, and when you want to claim or say, hey, hang on a minute, nah, don't want to know. It's a physio, it's online, do-it-yourself exercises. You know,
I mean, it is.
I feel sorry for, like you say, families that have a mobile carer that comes around. The council only give them half an hour. Well, they've got to get them washed, dressed, fed, and a mobile carer can have 24 visits in a day. And your first couple of calls, you're going to be over half an hour. So it's just a backlog and backlog and backlog. That is impossible. My heart goes out to anybody.
Me too. Me too. And I understand that they don't get paid in between visits, that they only get paid for the time they're in.
That's right. They have a mobile phone, and usually on the door or on the inside of the door, there's like a barcode or something like that, and you've got to scan it.
Like clocking in and out of every house.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you've got a car, you get very little extra. Most of them are on bicycles.
What?
Absolutely. I worked for one.
I mean, this is just, it is shocking to me. I mean, and also these carers are being taken advantage of, right?
Well, the thing is, if you've got a heart and you go in and you've got a half an hour job and you're going to go over by 40 minutes, they want to chat. They don't see anybody all day. And then you be doing the devil in deep blue sea, thinking, well, I'd like to chat, but I've got to get on, you know. I'm not going to get finished till gone 11. My last call will be like an hour and a half late. You know, and
this is heartbreaking. It genuinely is, because you just think of all those people, and I do spend time worrying about people I don't know, because you just think, you know, you're living your life, you've lived most of your life, right? And at the very end, you get treated like this. I just think it's sick.
Yes, but the other thing is, I'm not really understand it, but if you're an old person and you own your own house and you go in a care home, don't they take it?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. You have to sell your house. You have to pay until all your money's gone.
Which, let's be honest, if you're going to live, my nan always said you're a long time old, Kevin, and I understand that. She was 60, and her mind was there, her body was failing, and she lasted till she was 80. So you were a long time old.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the day, if you had a house and you're going to last an extra, I don't say, God willing, 20 years, it would have disappeared.
Yeah, gone.
Gone.
They don't want us to have anything. They don't want us to leave anything.
No. And I mean, going off the subject a bit, I mean, I'm on minimum wage. Wife works in a hospital, and
what a lovely couple you are.
Well, COVID, it was terrible. It was terrible. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say, our council tax has gone up. Our water rates have gone up massively.
I know, mine are going up as well. The Thames water we've got.
We're struggling. But I said to Tina, I says, the wife, I says, how's everybody else out there? They must be. There's lots of people who must be struggling more than us.
Yeah.
And we've really got to put the hours in.
But I mean, everything. I mean, everything is just so much more expensive, isn't it? You just look at your shopping. When I get my shopping, I'm like, is that it?
Oh, you eat. Oh, you lucky bugger.
Kevin, you're one of my favourites. So you really are. Kevin and Tina, these are the rock solid backbone of this country. People like you two. Send my love to you.
We fight like cat and dog.
Of course you do. Of course you do. That's a northern way. That's a northern language of love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin, send my love to Tina, won't you? And you take care. Thank you for that call. It's absolutely brilliant. Let's take a quick break. I'll be back in just a moment.
UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, good morning. This is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you. We're discussing the cost of care, basically. And this time it's really about, well, really the way the carers are treated, minimum wage, which is, I mean, these people are doing a really important job, minimum wage. And we want them to look after our loved ones, and they've got half an hour at a time, rushing in, rushing out. Not their fault. Absolutely not their fault, just the system in which they work. And I think it's so disheartening, it's so sickening to me that you've got all these huge corporations in this country making billions of pounds worth of profit, and their tax bill is tiny. And yet we are treating older people in this way, or ill people in this way. And don't get me started on taking benefits money away from the disabled. Let me read a couple of messages and we'll go to Louisa. But this one says, even if you are skint and are having to rely on benefits after a life of work and then need help, you still have to pay quite a contribution, which makes you more skint. Gone from working and earning over £1,000+ a week, paying tax and national insurance all my life, and now I have to live on less than that a month, and they still want you to pay a contribution. I mean, Sharon says if you need 24-hour care, it's free to anyone who needs it, home or care home, but the assessments for around the clock are very tight. Yeah, it is there available unless you've got any money, and then they want to take it all. They want to take it all off you. I've got loads of messages. I will read those, try to get to a few more of those. But let's talk to Louisa now in Nottinghamshire, who's a new caller. Good morning, Louisa. Lovely to have you on board.
Hello, Petrie. A little bit nervous. It's my first call.
Don't be nervous. It's just me. We're just chatting.
No, I absolutely adore you. I love you. So maybe it's a little bit off topic, but regards to the caring system, I many years ago went for a job which was advertised as a part-time cleaning job in a care home.
Louisa, can I just ask you, there's something going on in the background. Have you got the television or the radio on?
Yes, I have.
Yes, it's slightly delayed, so if you can just turn that down.
Yeah, I'm watching the programme. So, so I'd gone for a part-time cleaning job at a care home.
Yeah.
And I got there, met a few residents there, and it was all lovely. And the owner of the place said, you know, straight away, "Oh, would you like a job as a carer?" And I was kind of, what? You know, I'm not trained. I've come for a cleaning job.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, we can train you in house," and he was offering a very poor wage.
Yeah. For a lot of responsibility, right?
Well, I just thought you've advertised for a cleaner, and now you're offering me a job as a carer. So, yeah, I found that quite disturbing.
That is worrying. I mean, I'm sure you're a wonderful person, and they probably saw that, but still, it's
not what I went for.
No.
I just thought, you know, it's like someone's coming in for any old job, and you're saying, "Oh, would you like to care for people?" I'm not qualified.
That is so weird, Louisa.
Yeah, I'm not qualified at all, and I found it quite disturbing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you would imagine that there would be qualifications, you know, cleaning, hygiene, care, how you lift somebody, how you treat somebody.
There's a slight difference in a job as a cleaner and a carer.
Slightly.
Yeah, I was a bit, I was gobsmacked. I was kind of...
Just as a point of interest, what was the difference in the pay between cleaning and caring? Was it massive, more for the caring?
A couple of pounds, maybe.
No way.
A couple of pounds, maybe. And, yeah, I just...
I presume you turned it down?
Yes, I did. Yes, yeah, I did. And, you know, I had a great grandma that was in a care home as well. and you know she did have some property and that, and when she had to go into the care home, my grandparents had to sell that. The house paid for her care, basically.
They want us to have nothing, don't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe you could say it's fair enough. I don't know, but everything that great grandma had was sold and had to pay for her care, and that was, according to the family, not very good either.
Yeah, but I don't think it is fair enough, because those who've never managed to buy a property don't have to pay. So how is that fair? Because just because you've got a property doesn't make you rich, right? No. Especially your grandparents' age, right? Yeah. They were able to buy a house for, I'm just thinking of my next door neighbour, my old place. She bought her house for £7,000, right? So she didn't have a mortgage. I paid quite considerably more than that to live next door to her. She was a monster. But anyway, I don't care if she watches me now, I've moved. But but just because she owned that house outright doesn't mean she was wealthy, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
why is it fair then to sell it? It doesn't make you rich. People think it does, but it doesn't.
Well, it's rich on paper. It's rich on paper, but not, just because you've got a property doesn't,
I know, but it's not fair. It's just not fair. Either everybody pays or nobody pays.
Exactly. And I also, Petrie, I didn't realise that you had health problems yourself, so I'm very sorry to hear about that.
Oh, bless you. No, I'm fine. Just get a little bit wobbly at times, but otherwise I'm okay. But yeah, it's just something you think about, isn't it? I mean, as we all get older, if we're lucky enough to get older, then there are things that come with that, and we need to be thinking about it. And fighting for people now means you and I won't have to fight later.
Yeah, it's very worrying. It's very worrying.
It really is. Louisa, you're brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
You've done really...
So are you.
You said, you're saying I'm nervous. You weren't nervous at all. Will you call me again?
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
You sound absolutely adorable. Thank you, Louisa. Really, really good call. Right, I'm going to do a competition for you now. You're going to figure this is a really good one. It's time now to find out how you could be within a chance of winning tickets you can't even buy now. You can't get them. Those are Oasis tickets at Wembley this summer, and Mike Graham has the details.
How do you fancy winning tickets to the hottest gig of the century? Here at Talk, we're giving you the chance to bag yourself a pair of tickets to Oasis at Wembley this summer. Plus, we're giving away a whopping 10 grand and putting you up for the weekend in a London hotel. All you need to do is text the word prize to 83338 and you're in the draw. Alternatively, you can enter by post. Once again, all you need to do is text the word prize to 83338 or you can enter by post. Good luck.
18 plus UK excluding Northern Ireland. Enter by text for £2 plus one standard network charge by 11 p.m. on the 7th of April 2025. Or post your name and number to Oasis Competition, PO Box 3190. Colchester CO2 8GP to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of April 2025. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
This is a News Broadcasting Network promotion.
Right, so there you go. That is how you win that fabulous prize. You're going to want to do it. I'm going to take a quick break, but I will be back.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a good morning to you. This is Talk, and it's Petrie with you until the top of the hour. Another new caller now, who's Mark from North Weald. Good morning, Mark. It's lovely to have you on board as well.
Good morning.
Good morning. What was it that made you want to call in this morning?
Well, I heard you talking about, sort of carers at home, and it's something I've got a lot of sort of history of with my mother. She was living at home. She had a partial leg amputation that was going back to 2017, and she got Alzheimer's. We had care in, and I class myself as like the auxiliary carer out of hours, if you like, in the evenings. Some of the care was very good, excellent, but the ones that were good, when they, sort of had time off, I couldn't relax. I was working and getting calls, or they haven't turned up. But at the same time, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. They weren't paid between calls. They weren't paid enough. It's quite a story. And gradually, as time was going by, we needed more and more care, which Mum was paying for herself completely, until the point where she needs to go into a home, which I didn't want her to go in home. I felt responsible. I'm not doing enough. It's a psychological effect on me. Yeah. And Mum did go into a home. It was, I couldn't do it on my own, and she needed nursing care as well. I won't mention any councils or companies or anything.
Thank you.
But they couldn't cover the cost of it completely. They were prepared to pay. This is like a sort of health side. They could pay the nursing care, but there wasn't enough money in the pot to pay for everything. For my mother's, side, it'd be about £6,000 a month. And the other thing
£6,000 a month. Ouch.
Yeah. I mean, probably could have put her in a 5-star hotel. It wouldn't have cost as much.
No, exactly.
Where she is now, I'm happy. I think it's the best we can get. Nothing's 100% perfect, but thing is, I've always lived with my mum.
Yeah.
I mean, but even I lost my father years ago, but I've always been with her. And effectively, it meant I would become homeless because we'd have to sell the house. So you can imagine the psychological...
Stress.
Yes, exactly. There is a good sort of, or happy ending, if you like, with Mum had already spent £140,000 of her own money, just through bits of savings, and her pension was, sufficient to just about cover the costs. Obviously, up to the point where she went into a home, but it was decided that, well, thank God, my local council said we will put in so much. NHS, would put in all the care, the nursing, and Mum's pension. So although she's paying £2,000 a month, it's an awful lot better than £6,000. And they've said, I can have disregarded the house because she's already spent £140,000.
Wow, that was lucky.
I know, because I was at the point where I'm going to become homeless. And,
they don't care. They'll just get rid of it. And if she tried to give it to you earlier, they would have
said, you're just sort of worried about losing. I said, well, yeah, I am worried about losing a roof over my head, but also, I'm just as much concerned about my mother's care.
Of course.
But we did get to the stage, I think, thanks to my sister, who helped me throughout the process, and, as I say, local authority, etc. And it did come to a conclusion, which is fair enough. She's paying her pension in for the, her care, but it was an absolute nightmare for me because, I thought I'm going to lose the ability to help my mother. I'm going to lose the roof over my head, and that weighs quite a lot on you.
Oh my God! I mean, Mark, that's just awful at a time like that. And all the, like you said, all the associated feelings of guilt and could I do more? Should I have done more? All of those things for your mum, and they're doing that to you as well. I mean, and also you're looking at £72,000 a year to keep somebody in a care home. What? Yeah. £72,000 a year. I mean, goodness me, the best private schools barely cost that.
Yeah, I mean, we moved her through twice, and where she is now, as I say, nowhere's 100% perfect because it is a hell of a job. But at least I know that she's very close to me. It's only just up the road. I can go and see her. Oh, that's nice. And you can put it this way: I can if I have to sort of work or I go out, I can be assured that someone's looking after her, because otherwise, you can imagine. One of the better carers, say, when she was there, I could relax, but when she was on holiday, it's like initially, Mum might phone me up, or someone, I'd ask them, if you're going to be late more than 20 minutes, just let me know. The good ones would say, we're going to be a bit late, so don't worry, I'll let Mum know, that's fine. But when they just don't turn up, and it's like panic stations, right, I've got to finish what I'm doing and get back. And
what is really not right is that these men and women who are carers, largely women, are paid so little money.
Oh God, yes.
And they're doing such an important job. Your loved one, your beloved mother. You don't want some, well, we heard from Louisa. Actually, she sounded lovely. I wouldn't mind her looking after me. But, she went in to get a job as a cleaner. And they said, do you want a job as a carer? I mean, there's got to be standards, folks, right?
Yeah, some of them just said, I've got to leave this job. It's just not making ends meet. And some of I admire sort of some of them, what they come in and do. Yeah. I mean, one of them, she'd come in, she would get Mum ready, she'd sit and talk to her, and the amount of devotion and love, it was palpable. But having listened to you, it just sort of, I had to, I'm normally a listener, not a talker, but this was the exception. I had to phone in about this just to.
I'm really glad you did, Mark. Yeah. I really am. And I hope that you won't just be a listener in future and that you'll call in, because this show is only what it is because of brilliant people like you.
Thank you.
Honestly, Louise and new callers, I love that, that you feel this is a safe space, that you can call me and we can have a chat about something that really actually matters in the world. And that is, the care of our elderly and our sick. Mark, you sound like a brilliant son. You really do. Your mum's lucky to have you. Take care. Do call again, won't you?
Yeah, we'll do.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Mark there. 140 grand on carers. £140,000 on carers. Jeez. Dan phoned earlier and he left a voice note. Let's have a listen.
Hi, Petrie. I suffer with mobility issues, incontinence issues, severe mental health issues. I can't really look after myself. I struggle getting in and out of the shower, getting dressed. I struggle cooking for myself. I've had the mental health, the social services, who are enablement teams come round, and they've basically turned around and said they can offer me care, but it's going to cost between £80 and £120 a week. And as I'm only on benefits at the moment, there's no way I could afford that. The state just want to take as much money as they can possibly get, and they don't care whether you've got it or not. And the advice I got off all of those was to hire independent cleaners and carers, because it would be cheaper to be get the care than it would be off the NHS. So yeah, it's you don't get it free at all.
Oh, Dan, that's the state of this country. Got a message here from Luke. He says, I'm an adult social worker. A few points. Many local authorities will charge an admin or brokerage fee. You're absolutely right. This particular council was charging £300, but they've now put it up to £1,851. This is for service users who have above the financial threshold to source a home care agency, usually a couple of £100, yeah. The minimum call length is 30 minutes, which is what we were saying. Sometimes, though, carers complete all the care tasks in less time, but the local authority will still pay for the 30 minutes. That's kind of them, isn't it? They won't pay them in between the visits. Many local authorities will have a brokerage system whereby a broker sources a care agency, a care home. Providers have to be signed up to the brokerage system, accepting the local authority's terms and conditions and fees. Yeah, I bet they do. Look, wherever there's brokerage, wherever there's decisions to be made, you're not telling me there isn't, you know, favours being done. Anyway. Care homes will have a local authority rate, for example, £700 a week, a contracted rate, and a private rate over £1,000 a week. Care homes can charge whatever they like to service users who have above the threshold. What? You may find it's cheaper to request the local authority sources that the local authority sources the care home if you have above the threshold, as you could pay the local authority rate. Oh, I see what you mean. Thank you for that, Luke. That was really helpful. But still, pretty blooming, yeah. Angie said, my friend's mum is in a council specialist dementia care home. She says the staff are brilliant. Unfortunately, the council are basically bankrupt and are selling it to a private company. It means the costs would double with no guarantee they'll keep the same staff. There's no way that somebody on minimum wage who rents a flat can afford over £1,000 a week. Do the government think the public have magic money tree to pull out of our backsides? I think they do. Or they don't care. Or they think that, well, you know, we don't want you to have anything, so sell everything you've got. I think I read that one, yes I did. Another message here. This is from Jack. Happy hump day. Yes, it is hump day for me, isn't it? No, home care is not affordable and it's out of reach for many families. The costs for professional services often surpass what most can afford, with hourly rates for the home health aides in Manchester ranging from between £20 to £50 an hour, depending on care needs and location. Families also face extra expenses for medical supplies and medications, which can quickly add up. With limited insurance options and no universal health care, many struggle to cover necessary care, forcing tough choices between finances and support for loved ones. And that's from Jack, Media City. Thank you, Jack. Right, very quick call to Alison. Alison, we've only got about a minute and a half.
Okay, good morning. Hope you're okay, and I'll really hurry up.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've worked in care for like 20 odd years, and I looked after my mum with my dad. And I did a test. And what I did was I worked from 7:45 in the morning till 3:45 in the afternoon. And then I'd have an hour's break, and then I would go out again, and sometimes I wouldn't get back till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And I did that for a whole week just to see how much I would earn. And I earned £400.
What?
And not only that, you would have to take into consideration your petrol.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I did it for a long time. Yeah. I know. Oh, you bend your back out there. I mean, because I'd done so much of it, and I used to, when I finished, I used to, on my days off and stuff, or in the evenings, I would go and look after my mum, and I'd help put her to bed and hoist her, and